I suppose you can pretty much go ahead.
All right, starting in three, two, one.
I suppose you can pretty much go ahead.
Hey, everybody, it's the Terrible Opinions cast. I'm Gabriel Coleman. Joining me is Grant Loftus,
Hello.
Andy Loftus,
Yo,
and David Ho.
Jobless.
This is going to be the last of our end of the year awards for 2016. Before we get started, though, just figured we should probably mention, like, before we started recording this earlier today, Mary Tyler Moore died. That sucks. She was good.
ooh,
Yep.
Dick Van Dyke Show, Mary Tyler Moore Show. Both.
Yep.
She's great on
she
both.
was a trailblazer. She,
Yeah.
she kind of set that standard for a single woman, working woman that wasn't all about what guy she was getting with or whatever.
Wasn't
you
she
know?
in Bewitched too as the
No.
non-witch?
No,
Okay.
no.
I thought she was.
But yeah, she was a big deal. So.
Yeah, I remember when I first moved up to the Twin Cities, I did, like, before school started, I watched, like, all of Scrubs, all of Roseanne, and then I didn't get through all of it before school started, but, like, a bunch of the Mary Tyler Moore Show just on Hulu because it was up then. And that show, like, holds up. That's still a good show. Like, we've got that statue of her in downtown Minneapolis here. I'm wondering if that's going to be, like, a little... Like, if there's going to be, like, flowers and stuff all over that for a
Oh,
while.
it's probably already happened. Yeah.
A friend of mine
Yeah.
posted a picture of her standing
Right.
next to it today.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's a bummer. That's like the first real major 2017 one. All right, let's move on to something a little bit less sad, though, and talk about Best Game. Here are the nominations. Firewatch, Dark Souls 3, Uncharted 4, Doom, The Last Guardian, Overwatch, Titanfall 2, Watch Dogs 2, and Inside. Grant, start us off. Well, tell me about Inside.
Well, I mean, I think this is a fantastic game. Like, it's definitely, like, of the games that I played this year, it's the one that, like, hit me the hardest. Not, like, emotionally or anything like that, but, like, I couldn't believe, like, the experience. It was just so... It's such a tight experience. It's very short. It's about 3 hours long. It's a platformer, and the art style is just incredible. Like, it's taken them a long time to make this game. Like, it really surprised me. Like, I kind of forgot about this developer because they put out Limbo, I don't know, like 6 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Probably
been
longer.
quite a while.
And that game was really good. I mean, I think it really kind of kicked off the arcade on, like, I would actually, I'm sure it's not true, but I feel like that's when this, like, arcade on these new consoles started.
Yeah, I feel like that was like the first or second, like, summer of arcade
And
thing was when that came out.
I think that was the first year they did it because I remember just thinking, like, that's amazing. Like, I got this game for like $10 or whatever. But yeah, this game is, it's very similar to Limbo, but it in the ways that it's not are so crazy. Like, I mean, do you guys know? I don't want to spoil it. 'Cause
Yeah, spoilers are fucking. We gotta spoil stuff here. You turn into a big ball.
yes. Okay,
That
so
part,
the whole,
you did show me this part, and I thought it was pretty fucking
it's
crazy.
it's crazy out of context, but it's even crazier in context because this whole game.
Here's my issue with that. I wish it lasted longer. Like, because that's like
Oh.
maybe 5 minutes of the game. Like, that
It's-
should have been like a half-hour long section.
It's long enough. It's long enough, and it's like the whole game. Like, it's very, like, somber. Like, you're like, what is going on here? What are they doing to these people? And you think it's gonna end on, like, this, like, really bittersweet kind of beautiful moment, kind of the way Limbo does. Like, it on an ambiguous, and this ending is fucking ambiguous too. Like, I don't know what this means, but the way
I
Limbo-
know what it means. Like, yeah, you got to do that, and then like the hidden ending. Like, the twist of that game is basically like you think the little boy is the one, like
You're
he's the
being mind
character
controlled.
here. Like,
This-
no, you're playing as the ball this whole time, and he's just another one of like the fucking zombies.
yeah.
Like,
And it's just the whole, like, way that last scene is set up. Like, you kind of come up on this area and you see all these, like, scientists, like, looking in on it, almost like they think it's funny or interesting. I don't know. It's so weird. and you crawl up inside of your swim in here like you're naked for some reason. You lose all your clothes. You crawl up inside this ball, and meanwhile, I'm like sitting here thinking like, what is going on? What? And then suddenly you're a giant mass of limbs and skin, and you're like terrorizing this place. You're breaking out and you're crushing people, and you're solving puzzles, and it's like the physics on this thing are just weird as hell. And then it ends on you like roll down a hill in the sunlight, and like it's very beautiful, and then the game just ends. You know what's crazy is that I've heard a lot of people say like, I love that game. Not so sure about that ending though. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, the ending makes that game
is
like if it
bonkers.
if you just like ended if it just ended like Limbo did, I would have just been like,
I still would have thought it was good.
Okay, good. They made a better Limbo, but it would have been like special. It would just would have been another one of those.
Like,
but like, that ending, like,
if you're one of those people that like
it.
can't like see an ending if it's not like totally clear cut to you, like you get mad and don't like it. And I hate endings that feel ambiguous for ambiguous sake. See shows like the OA, like, but this is different. You know, this is special. What happens at the end of this game, and I can say safely that I've never played anything like it before. And I think this game is one of the best platformers I've ever played, and it's certainly like the best like arcade like 3-hour experience I've played this year, and I think it definitely hangs on this list.
All right, I'll leave it on here for now. I'm not sure if I agree with you about it hanging, just like not because it is bad or not great, just because there is some fucking competition this year. Like, this is going to be a hard one to do. I will talk about something I don't think hangs on this list, though, just to eliminate one here. I love Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 is the only one of those games, like, with the Dark Souls name on it, that I've actually like finished. Like, I didn't like the way 1 felt. I didn't like the way 2 felt. I love Bloodborne. I like this because it plays closer to Bloodborne. But it doesn't, like, a lot of the times at this point I'm like, man, I should play some of that. I end up playing more Bloodborne still.
Yeah, it didn't stick with me as much as the other ones.
Yeah,
and I'm
like
sure
the lore stuff isn't as cool. Like the thing I love about the first 2, even if I've never played, like I've watched Let's Plays of both of them, and like a lot of lore videos. Like the lore for this one, like it seems like it just went a little bit too far in the like let's not explain anything direction, where like stuff just doesn't really add up. That being said, I do love like the way the game plays. Like, that's great, and I have put like 100 hours into this.
Yeah.
Mainly because I keep fucking losing my characters because it doesn't have Steam Cloud saves. But like, I'm ready for that last DLC. Yeah. I think the first DLC was kind of bad, but
I still haven't played it. I will agree with you.
It's ridiculously hard. That DLC is like,
this is easily one of the best games of the year. Like in the top 10, I'd say it's like number 6.
But, yeah, but I don't think it's top 3.
I just want to make a blanket statement that I think these are some of the Souls series and Bloodborne by extension are some of the best games ever made. I will stand by that, and I will fight you to the death over that.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, even if I don't like the first 2 personally, like I see, like I get it after Bloodborne in this one.
If you were able to get yourself in the mindset and just
I've tried. I've gotten like I always get to like the 3rd or 4th boss. Mm-hmm. And just like trail off, like they just don't grab me the same way. It's just like the slower paced combat. Like I don't like playing. It's like those games seem very much like you should be playing them with like a shield and a sword, like fucking blocking and parrying and all that. I have never used a shield in Dark Souls 3.
And
I never will.
I know people who don't for the first 2 as well, and they think I'm a pussy for using a shield. I'm like, it feels right to me in those games, but.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it feels better. Like, you're not as mobile. Your, like, animations take just a little bit longer in the first 2. Like, I like being mobile and, like, fucking stick and move and all that shit. And you just couldn't do that as much in those first 2. But you can in Bloodborne and 3.
Yeah, Bloodborne is the shot in the arm. I mean, it didn't necessarily need one. They could have just kept releasing these games, and I would have ate them up forever, probably. But Bloodborne is definitely, like, that, like, thing that makes it completely relevant. Like, even if they make a Bloodborne 2 and it's just as good, I think it'll be still just as good.
Yeah, I would play a Bloodborne 2, but I think that they should probably take some time at this point. Like, they should take some time off, do some other shit, then come back in like a few years.
Yeah, I'm fine with it going.
Like the market's just so saturated.
I'm fine with this going. I mean, there's other stuff on here that I think is better, like you were saying.
Yeah. What next? Firewatch. Let's talk about Firewatch.
It's a good game.
Because Firewatch is a good game.
I
don't think it hangs on this list, but it's a good game.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
it's
think
hard
so
for me
either.
to like talk very passionately about it because I feel like that game happened so long ago that it almost feels like it didn't happen this year at all. Well, now it's 2017.
Yeah, it was
but
like a super early one. Like, I'm kind of worried Resident Evil 7 is
I'm
going
not
to
gonna
be
forget
like
Resident Evil.
next year's Firewatch.
I'm not going to forget Resident Evil 7.
They are supporting it with DLC at least, so it'll be
Yeah.
a little bit fresher.
That
But,
game is so good. There's no way I'm forgetting it this time.
Firewatch, like, it's one of those things, like, I remember loving Firewatch, but it not sticking with me as much maybe says a little bit something about it. Like, it's a little bit fleeting.
Yeah, it's I'd have a hard time replaying it.
It's
I think.
good, not great.
Yeah.
I'd like to replay
What
it with
happens
somebody.
at the end though? I didn't actually beat the game. Just spoil. I was really close to the end, I think, and I haven't had a chance to get back to it yet.
Remember that early on you find that backpack with a camera in it and all that stuff?
Sure.
You find out that, excuse me, the guy who's been terrorizing you is like the father of like the kid who that belonged to, and like you find that kid's skeleton, like that kid died, and like the dad just sort of lost his shit and has just been like living out here at this point, and just like wants you to get the fuck
Yeah,
away.
he's been trying to keep you
Okay.
away. The reason he comes out as hostile, he's trying to keep you away from discovering this. So
Yes.
it's the game. What's so great about this game? Why I think gets nominated is because that game is masterfully manipulates you into thinking something else is happening. And I remember moments in that game where I felt like paranoia to the highest degree.
Yeah, I'd like to just address something here. You listened to the Giant Bomb end of the year stuff, right?
Yeah,
It's fucking amazing to me how not a single one of them understood the ending of this game.
it's a bittersweet
they're like-
ending.
No, where they're like, oh, like, how did he set up this whole like, this whole fucking research station? It's like, no, that research station was already there. He had nothing to do with it.
It just,
Like, if you look at the documents even, like, it's a thing, like, it's super vague, where it's like, oh, is it talking about, like, me and the girl? It's like, no,
doesn't
it's
it
talking
say their
about
names?
deer.
Doesn't it say their
No.
names?
It just says the male and the female. Like, it's just talking about
Oh, yeah.
deer.
Yeah,
Like, it's just the thing, like, he didn't have anything to do with that. Like, he might have led you there, but other than that, like, he has nothing to do with it. Like, you're just sort of like, your paranoia is what's fucking causing you to do that.
It makes you think it's you and the other research lady.
yeah.
Yep,
So they
but it's
say-
not. It's just, it has nothing to
Yeah.
do with anything. It's just a coincidence.
Well, like from the very, I mean, the performances in this game are also like outstanding. Like the two
Yes.
leads, and then just like the certain like moments, like I was talking about with Paranoia, like early on when you're down that hill, and you're like, you see a light, somebody's watching you, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh well. She's like, this is the wilderness. It's not like it's a isolated area where people couldn't possibly be. So you kind of like, okay, well, he could throw that off. And then later on, he's like, the lights in my cabin are on, like, and I know I left them off. Like, that's scary. Like, that's a
Yep.
scary moment.
And it does that moment, like, early on where, like, you get knocked the fuck out from behind, and
Yeah.
then it never does it again. But, like, it's always in the back of your mind that could happen to you at any point.
Yeah, it's a great game. Like, I would like to see these guys get to make something similar, but maybe like bigger.
Yeah, like a full, like a way bigger game, like
Because I
4
really
or 5 times as
enjoyed.
big.
I just really enjoyed kind of the methodical nature of like every day is like a new thing going on, and I'm like I wouldn't ever want it to become gamey where like I'm just gonna collect sticks today and like it's time to collect more sticks. Like I don't ever want to do that. I want it to
Yeah.
always feel unique. But I would have liked to seen like the game is like what 3 hours long or so.
Yeah, like 3 or 4.
I could see a
At
10-hour
most.
experience being really, really engaging. I would like that.
By the way, just as a side note for this one of the coolest things about this game is that when you get finished, like you have that camera, and you can connect the game to a website and actually get real photograph prints of all the
They
pictures you
send
took.
it to you in a nice envelope and everything.
Yeah, they
right?
send you like a nice envelope, like addressed to like the dude in the game, and along with like that camera belonged to like the son, like to the first like they even sorted the pictures in like the order you took them in, so it's like the last one you took is on top, and then it goes backwards.
Mhm.
And at the bottom of the stack, like you have the very first one that you accidentally take when you first get the camera. So it's just like you like the dude from the game's face, like real close and sideways, and like the very last one you get to is like just a picture of that kid and his dad, like standing out there.
Yeah.
It's like that was just like a nice moment, even outside of the game.
Yeah, it's a great game, and I think it's one of the best stories of the year. It just doesn't hang on this list with like some of these.
Yeah,
other
there's so much else. Andy, tell me about Watch Dogs 2.
Watch Dogs 2 is great. um,
Yeah.
it's after Watch Dogs 1, I was admittedly not expecting a whole lot. It's Ubi, and Ubi's been questionable as of late. But just from a standpoint of delivering on everything it promises that it shows when it advertises it, I think this game just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, I think this game needs to be on this list.
It does.
My argument for it is that like it's the most prescient video game I've ever played. Like I haven't finished it yet. I still haven't finished it. I got distracted. But there's the last mission I did is the one where you go to fucking Senator Thruss's campaign headquarters, where like the
mission's
people who run
awesome.
fake Facebook are using fake news to fucking influence the election and get their fucking corrupt millionaire businessman elected. Like,
That shit was wild.
yeah, like, and this game had to have been written like at least a year or two ago, because like with how
Yeah.
games fucking development works, like
Yeah,
Like,
you have to have all
they
that
had such an amazing amount of foresight. Like there were times I was like playing this game, I was like, that hits a little too close to home. Like,
Yep. Mm-hmm. Did you use the? Did you throw the car out the window in that level?
yes,
Did you actually
yes, I
hit
used it to
someone with
run a
or-
bunch of guards over. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah. That. So satisfying. The hacking is so much better. Watch Dogs 1 had that whole system that was just like every other Ubi game, Far Cry, where you unlock towers to unlock other
Mhm.
shit in those, and they just kind of did away with that in this one. It seemed
yeah.
like.
You just sort of like go into hacker vision and you can see like points of interest and it marks them on your map. Like it's good.
Oh, and
It's also
I
just
love,
a really fun to play game. Like the sandbox fucking craziness you can get up to with the hacking is really cool. Like the
And
drones are both really cool, and the
Yeah.
characters are all so fucking likable.
All the
Yeah.
characters are great.
This is my number one list of shame game this year. I just never got in the mindset to play it, even though I have it on my PC. I recognize that you guys think it looks good. I think it looked cool. It doesn't look like something I like want to dive into. I don't know why.
You'd have to just get into it, and then once you're in it, you realize the game is just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I played a little bit of it. It didn't do anything for me in the opening hours, but I can't judge an open world game on that.
You gotta get like some of the upgrade path done. Like
I really hope.
before
I
it
hope
really
the
opens
DLC,
up.
I hope the DLC really extends that game.
Yeah,
I played
I
some
want
of
more.
this one actually, and I did play the beginning, and then I also did jump ahead to Gabe's save file when he had unlocked a bunch of stuff, and the sandbox stuff is really quality.
yeah. During that stream, like during like the opening part about all the surveillance, you even made that fucking comment like, "Well, this is a bit too real." Like I remember that, like, because it
Yeah,
does
it's-
fucking nail that shit.
That's why I think it hangs on this list. You cannot be that fucking right about something and not have that be given a trivial award.
I think it's such an improvement over the first game. The combat, big time, is just so much better. And the way that the hacking's done, you know how you had to go to that screen of those bars where you switch the circuits around to connect them? The way it works in this game, I just loved how they made it so it's on the actual, like you have to like move around the
Yeah, like it's an
world.
environmental puzzle.
Yeah, that really made those fun. And then the co-op is really awesome in this
How do
game
you
too.
make
Like,
hacking like? How do you show hacking? Like, there's nothing that's going to be like gamey
Yeah.
about it. Like, almost the best way to do it is just to press button like he's doing it on his phone. But any sort of like game
And like
gimmick out of
sometimes
it
you
is not
have
gonna make
to
sense.
sometimes you have to take out your drone to hit some of those points, and then it gets really interesting.
Yeah, the
The
way
co-op,
that they. You go.
the co-op is it's totally amazing. Me and Gabe did a little bit of it. And Gabe, did you do anything like where you got invaded by people?
Yeah, I had a couple of moments where I got invaded by people. I honestly, like, I turned that off after a little bit. Like, it's like, oh, this is cool once, but, like, I just want to do this fucking story shit and not be, like, boxed in as I'm on my way to missions. Like,
Well, I had
the stuff with friends, I really like. The stuff I did with you,
Yeah.
the co-op stuff, I really like,
like
though.
like you were like going into one side of the building. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start working on this puzzle right now, and you started clearing guys, and then I got doors open for you, and like that was really fucking fun.
Yeah, those parts were really cool with, like, a friend doing
I
stuff
kind
with
of
you.
want to dig into that more at some point. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
It makes
I don't know,
me
I guess,
makes me kind of hopeful for. I mean, this is a totally different game, but it makes me a little bit more hopeful for that Wildlands game. Like an
Yeah,
open
do you mean
world
do you mean
sandbox.
Tom Clancy's Cocaine Mountain?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I
Okay.
used to be a fan of the Ghost Recon games, and I did like when they did go to the third person perspective, and I thought they were good.
Yeah, I think that game looks really cool. It's on my Steam wish list. I don't know if I'm going to be getting it right
Open-
away because
yeah.
it comes out right after the Switch and also right after Horizon.
Maybe we should
But-
maybe we should wait till it hits a price drop, and we should all get it together and play 4-player co-op on PC.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
That's kind of a derailment. So let's move on.
Yeah. All right. The next game. Let's talk about Overwatch. I guess this is another one, David. You played a little bit of this just to get a feel for like what it is. This is probably my number 2 game of the year, but I think I'm the only one in this group that it really completely hit with.
Actually,
I'm just
after
thinking.
playing it,
I'm watching.
I agree with you.
I'm thinking of this list. If you guys are saying Watch Dogs has to make it on this list, there's one that I think has to be on this list, which we're going to talk about soon. I don't see how we can have Overwatch also on this list for.
Yeah, I've got one more that I think needs to be on here as well. And like I know you have at least one other one
Yeah,
that you're going to be fighting for here, if not 2 or 3 other ones that you're going to be fighting
I
for.
already
here.
kind of know what this list is. The one I was wondering about was Overwatch. Like, how bad are you going to fight for this game? Because
I like
enjoyed
Overwatch
it.
a lot.
I enjoyed it a lot
But-
too, but it's just a shooter. Like, it's a really well made shooter.
If
And
we like, I hate multiplayer online games. I hate them. None of them have ever connected with me since like. Not even Halo 2. I was gonna say since Halo 2, but like I didn't even like Halo 2 on Xbox Live. Like,
Did you ever play?
I
Team
liked Halo.
Fortress?
yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it sucked. I fucking
Yeah,
hate Team Fortress.
yeah, I
I think
did-
it's
I did
boring
too.
and bad.
But everybody
Uh,
says they're the same, and I just
Here's the difference
No,
between
it's not.
Team Fortress. Here's why I couldn't stand Team Fortress. I felt like no single character was able to easily kill another character. Not meaning like everybody
Yep.
was like, it's like this guy lobs grenades like, and they bounce around before they blow up, and they like do like peanuts for damage. Like you like, I don't know how you kill anybody in that game. Like it's so hard. This one, kind of a similar vibe, but I felt like most of the time I was able to kill people.
Yeah, I can
unless
kill
I was-
people. Like I
Yeah.
play on PC with a controller, and I'm still able to do really well as characters that shoot, depending on which character I'm using.
Yeah.
But the thing that really hooked me with this is like I don't like shooters online that much. It's never clicked with me. But this game has made support classes like really fun to play. So I main Mercy in this game. So I'm just like flying around the battlefield, buffing people and healing people, and it's fun as fuck. Like
There's something really
I love
gratifying
this game.
about like you're able to play like and like you can actually focus on doing something to keep someone alive that's
Mhm.
maybe better at killing stuff than you are. Like as long as I'm sticking to him, he'll stay alive, and like he's glad I'm here because I'm healing him and he gets to keep fighting. It's like it's something very satisfying about that. And
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
can
they-
like still get play of the game with that. You can still like it's a very integral part of the team. Is like you have to have a
they
good
found a
support character.
way. They found a way to make the game fun for even people who aren't just like fucking amazing at getting kills.
Mhm.
And it's kind of just to talk about another game that's on this list. It's kind of what Titanfall did too, and I think these guys are getting the idea of how to make FPS fun for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's the deal I'm going to make you here, Grant. We'll talk about Titanfall 2 next.
Titanfall's
but
not going to make it to the end here.
yeah, I will cut
I'll say
Overwatch if you will cut Titanfall 2
Yeah, but
after
we have to
talk about that.
We have to talk about it at least.
Yeah, let's move on to it. Overwatch is great. It's not going to make this list. Tell me about Titanfall. If this is a list of 4, I think Overwatch would be on here.
Titanfall has one of the best FPS campaigns I've played in years.
See, here's my thing. Like, this has been the year of the shooters here, and I know you're going to make the argument for one that we're going to. I know I'm not going to be able to talk you out of getting it in the top 3. You think it's the best? I don't even think it's the best shooter of the year. I think Titanfall 2 is the best shooter of this year, and that's how good it is. I mean, like, it's a great story campaign and all that. That campaign surprised everybody. It's fucking awesome. It's great, but I think the multiplayer is really damn good too, and it's total package in this game, and I love the aesthetic they've got with it. I mean the story, aside from like the moment to moment, like the relationship between you and the robot BT, it's very easy to understand, but like the larger conflict and stuff, whatever the hell's going on, why we're fighting, I don't even know. And I think that's a major fault of this game. Like, I think they could really convey that better, and it would make it like game of the year if it had a better story. But this game, I've had so many moments with it that in the multiplayer, especially, where I'm like, yeah, this is my game of the year. I go back and forth on it, and then I'll have a really bad match. I'm like, yeah, maybe not, And the same I would say for Overwatch. Like, when I was playing, I'm like, yeah, this game is, man, I'm like really glad I bought this. And then I'd play like 5 matches in a row where I just got my ass kicked. I'm like, yep.
See, I still like Overwatch even when I'm losing. Like,
yeah, if I'm not winning, not that I have to be on top or anything like that, but if I'm not getting like kills, like if I'm not getting that feedback, the game starts to lose me big time. And
well, I play as a healer class, so I don't have that problem.
I like to kill people, so.
The thing that frustrates me is when like I'm playing as Mercy and nobody's fucking keeping people off of me. Like, just keep them off of me and I'll keep you alive, you fucking idiots. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think both Overwatch and Titanfall 2 are probably great games. I haven't played Titanfall 2 yet. I'm going to get it like when it goes on sale for like 30.
This has been the year
really
digital, but
yeah, you really got to play Titanfall 2. There is a couple big set piece moments that when you get to them, you'll just have a fucking grin on your face, and it's a blast.
All right, Grant, you've got 2 other games. All right, first off, I'm going to cut Inside. I think Inside is great.
I don't
think Inside is going to make the top 3. You have 2 other games on here, Grant. Tell me about the one you aren't going to be fighting as hard for here.
The Last Guardian.
Okay, so tell me about Last Guardian.
So this is the one that I'm going to cut, but it surprised the hell out of me in how much it actually delivered on the original promise. 9 years ago when they announced this game?
So what is the gameplay loop for this game?
You are just solving puzzles, trying to navigate this ginormous area that's just massive, and just trying to get out of this. It's like a crater. You're in a giant crater that's also like a temple, and you wake up next to this giant creature, and you have no memory. It's a Japanese game, so they lose their memory. I don't know, and you have to just like basically work with this creature, and you form a bond to escape this area. So the gameplay loop is you're using Trico, that's the creature, to solve puzzles. You ride on him, and he can jump up to areas that you couldn't get to. He can like open doors for you that are too heavy, just all kinds of stuff. But it's just the way you interact with him. It's so real.
Well, sometimes he won't do what you want, right? I mean, sometimes he'll be a little asshole.
And there's like maybe 2 parts where I had like real frustration where I'm like, okay, he's clearly fucking up. This can't be like, you can almost look at it and say like he's just trying to work it out in his head what you're trying to get him to do, like a dog would do, because dogs don't speak English, they don't know what you're doing, and he'll eventually kind of just get it and he'll do it. There was a couple parts where I'm like, nope, he's turning around and he's doing this. He's jumping back down. I don't know why he's doing this. Like, this is really frustrating. But for the most part, this game really clicked for me. The controls are really weird, but they're deliberate. Like, they are very deliberate. People think they're flawed. They did it on purpose. Like, it's hard to explain, but the game ended
No,
up
I get
being
I get what you're
amazing.
saying. Like, I think some people that complain about controls in games, well, sometimes that's
The
the
camera, the
aesthetic
camera,
the
there
game was
is
going for.
the camera. There's no way around this. That thing is a mess. But at the same time, I don't know how you could do it any other way unless you just literally had no walls in the game. If there were no walls for you to go up against, unless they had fixed camera angles, which I don't think that would be good either. But this game, it
Did
just
Ico have fixed camera angles like their first thing?
yes, it
Okay.
did sometimes, and then, but yeah, it just blew me away. I loved it. I mean, I felt something for this creature, and uh, it didn't hit the same high as Shadow Colossus for me, but it's definitely like the same guy made it. It hit me hard, and I really liked it, but I've had some kind of time to think about it since, and I'm like, at the time, I was like, man, this could be my game of the year after I beat it. But I've kind of like cooled down a little bit on it. Not like to say that I didn't like it, but I loved it. It's just it's not my game of the year, so it can be cut.
All right, and that leaves us with the last one here, which I was also going to say I think needs to be on this list: Uncharted 4.
Yep, this is the one I'm going to fight for the hardest. I just think Naughty Dog, nobody does it as good as they do. I mean, they've got incredible voice actors. They've got amazing animation. The stories that they're telling, especially with Uncharted 4. I don't think this game is better than The Last of Us. I don't think it's even close. But then again, I don't think there are many games out there that are as good as Last of Us. But it's definitely like technically, it's the best thing they've ever done. Like, and I know that doesn't make a good game, but in this case, it everything is coming together to make like an amazing experience. Like the storytelling and just the way they're able to convey like their characters' emotions. Like I know you guys kind of played this part, like that part where you're in the dining room or you're just sitting down with your wife and you're eating. That little quiet moment is so like just poignant. It's so great. And then you have the what Uncharted is known for is the epic set pieces, where this game has one that I can't believe. And you guys didn't even see the whole thing. I know, David, you played this part that which I don't know why they made it this way, where if you're trying to pick an encounter and play a certain part, it keeps cutting off and making you load the next part. That scene is just incredible, where you start out in this pretty awesome shootout, you jump in a Jeep, you go down this hill, and it all feels like it's a movie, like the best, like the biggest Michael Bay action movie you've ever seen. And then it ends with you going on like this, getting pulled behind a car with a grappling hook, and that's incredible on its own. And then after that, you're on a motorcycle being chased by this truck, and it just keeps going and going and going. And it's like, I can't believe that there's this action set piece. It sucks that they showed that part off in the pre E3 stuff, because I can't imagine playing that part for the first time and not knowing it was coming. It would just,
Yeah, that would have been even more of a moment if you hadn't known about it going in.
yeah, and then it ends on a really
Then again,
great
like
note.
that at the E3 thing was like, that's
like-
what got me to buy this game.
Well,
That
yeah.
sold a copy of this game.
And
Like, because I was like, after Uncharted 2, I was like, okay, I didn't think that was very good. I'm done
There's-
with this. Don't care about 4. And then I was like, well, guess I got to get Uncharted 4.
see, I mean, I've enjoyed all of them all the way through, except for the first one. I think the first one's all right. It's okay.
I don't think I could go back to the first one, but at the time, I loved the first one.
But they
Well,
they do
when
have a
Maybe in that
tendency-
collection where they
Yeah.
like changed the controls and upgraded
Well, yeah,
the
they
graphics.
they all are like kind of consistent when you play that collection. I think the first one, every time I get back to it, I always enjoy the shit out of it again.
it's
Especially at
better
the
than
end.
I thought it was.
I
Like,
love the zombies. I love the Nazi zombies. That is just that's great.
yeah, but no, I mean, and also I think if this was just another Uncharted and it played just like the others, I think the improvements they've made to the combat, like I was kind of not a big fan of the combat in the first 3. I mean, I like it, but I was always like, oh, here we go again. I got to kill all these guys. This is annoying. I actually really like the combat in this one, like the flow of it, and the way you have to play these games is if you're just sitting behind covered shooting guys, you're playing it wrong. And I know people are like, oh, you can't play a game wrong if you can beat it this way, and it's not playing wrong. Like, nope, you got to be jumping around, using your grappling hook, swinging around, shooting guys while swinging, and then you jump on them like and punch them as you're flying down and grabbing their gun, and then you just keep running and climb up here. It's just like it's so fun, and it looks like a set piece. Like if I was just watching this game, like 10 years ago, if I'd seen this game, like that's a cutscene right there. This guy playing, that's nobody could do that in this game, and that's why this game is amazing. And it ties a bow on the series in such a great way. I mean, people could have predicted how it would end. A Thief's End. He's gonna die at the end, and it doesn't go that route. They don't take a cheap way out. They kind of.
I was hoping for some skeleton pirates.
I thought for sure somebody was going to die, and it was going to be really sad. But they went in a different direction that I think.
Yeah, they give you like the Wayne's World super happy ending.
Yeah.
Like,
and
which is good. It fits this game, like, because those games have never been like even when it's like, oh, shit's going bad, it's always in like an Indiana Jones way where it's like, well, shit's going bad, but you know he's gonna fucking make it out.
I wish they would have bad endings.
Yeah, and somehow
there should be ways you can fuck it up. And
I know some people complain kind of about the brother character. What's his name? What's the guy?
Troy Baker.
Troy Baker plays him. Sam. Yeah, I think they're like, well, that's stupid. They introduced this guy at this part, and we're supposed to care about him, but they managed to make me care about him. I mean, I liked him by the end. I mean, it's Troy Baker doing his thing, and you've got two of the best voice actors in video games working today playing off each other.
That's a really good joke too. That's a really good meta joke. It's like the two guys who just voice fucking everyone.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, we already got one of them. Let's cast the other one as his brother.
And it's
I wouldn't be surprised if they do a third game, like a fifth game, I mean, and it's like you playing as like the daughter character when she's grown up. They should just get fucking Jennifer Hale to voice grown up.
Yeah.
Like, just have the fucking trifecta.
The funny part is in The Last of Us, the guy, the kind of the villain of the game shows up, and he's played by Nolan North, and you kill him.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but this game is, I think it's definitely hangs on this list, and it's one of the best games of the year. My favorite game of the year. It's my number one.
My number one is the only one we haven't talked about yet. We've talked about it in other podcasts. It's best character. It was a runner-up, and it won best music. Doom. Doom is real fucking good, you guys. Like, it has sort of the impossible task setting out, like, especially after Doom 3, of, like, how do you make a modern Doom game that still feels like the fucking originals? And they did it, and they modernized it in a way while still retaining the core of, like, the fast-paced action. Like, this game is so fucking fast. Like, you just, like, you're like, normal walk speed in this game. Like, there's no run button, because, like, you're already moving faster than, like, any other first-person shooter protagonist.
Yeah, there's no
fucking
stamina
on the market. Yeah, there's no stamina. You don't have to reload. Yeah, you don't have to reload. You're just fucking going. The monsters are all fucking cool. The fucking design is all cool. The character is cool. The music elevates it. Like, I love this game. This game is one of those things. Like, it's been a trend this year with a lot of stuff where it's like somebody just reached inside of my head and pulled this game out.
Yeah, it from start to finish, it's pretty lean. It just does everything it's set out to do. It does it just perfectly, in ways I never thought would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually finally finished it this last like month or so, and while I agree it's really great, it didn't hit as hard as it did for you. Like, I like it, and I've been a Doom fan forever. We played it on floppy disks. I mean, I've been there since the start. I've played them all. I have just
I remember installing like eight floppy disks for Doom 2.
Yep.
In this game,
I remember when Ultimate Doom came out on CD. It was like, oh shit, it's all on here.
It's the thing about it for me is like it's a great one of these games, but at the same time, like what it's doing isn't as exciting to me. Like it's
super exciting to me
really
because like it's shooting in a way that like shooting hasn't been. Like it's a completely different style. Like there's no fucking iron sights. You're not doing any of like there's no Call of Duty DNA in this game.
Yeah.
No and reloading. That's fucking crazy.
Like, no reloading.
I played it and I can say that like it's just so fundamentally. I mean, it's going back to the roots of the genre that it itself propagated, but it's also, I mean, just possibly because of Call of Duty DNA or stagnation or something, it is also fresh and new, and it is throughout its gameplay, but also in its the elements of its story. It is denouncing that the way that video games are now, and it's showing us something better that does involve looking back, but not looking back to go backwards, but looking back to go forwards. So like the story part of the game, I mean, famously, like the opening cutscene or whatever has, Doom guy on a table or something, and the screen comes up with all this information, and all this exposition starts playing, and he just like punches the screen and throws it to the side. And just like his attitude about all the exposition, like even in the elevator, it works on multiple levels. There's a scene in the elevator where the scientist guy who's giving the exposition is telling him, like, giving his excuses for why it was worth the risk to harvest hell energy on Mars. And Doom guy like punches the thing that's talking to him in the elevator.
Yeah, he's just like, fuck you.
Yeah, and that fuck you is not only the game saying fuck you to, like, so it's the game saying fuck you to the idea of exposition and coming up with reasons for why a video game is a video game. I'm looking at you, Assassin's
Why you
Creed.
should kill the damn demons.
Yeah, it's just like there are demons and you have to kill them. That's it. Like there doesn't need to be any of that exposition. That's the game saying fuck you to that. But also in the story itself, it's Doom guy saying fuck you to this bureaucracy and capitalism, this evil that like,
it's also
comes
like
up with excuses.
Yeah, on a meta level, like
game of 2016.
Yeah, like it and Watch Dogs are like sort of tied for that. I think like this is a weirdly like super environmental conscious game where it's like, hey guys, all the shit we're doing, like it may seem like a good idea now, and in the short term, yeah, you shouldn't frack hell. Or maybe just you shouldn't do fracking in general. Like
fracking hell is such a perfect metaphor because it's there's risk involved, but there is benefit in electricity to do to process energy, to get energy from limited resources, from dangerous resources. But this game is saying that's fucking stupid because the risks are too great, and it's doing that through the metaphor of saying the risks are hell escaping into the world.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like that's just the metaphor. Is like the risk of it is, especially when there are clear alternatives, the risk is too great. Don't fucking do it. It's fucking dumb. And that guy in that elevator keeps giving excuses for why they decided to do it, and Doom guy just punches it because he knows.
The twist with that character too, that guy you're talking to, is he's basically a tech bro. Like he's this fucking scientist who's like, okay, well, I'm gonna die one of these days, so I'll invent this fucking robot body to survive. So he's a fucking tech bro in like a 10-foot tall robot body who's fucking out fracking hell because, hey, guys, like, we need this energy. Like,
right.
Literally to hell with the consequences. Like,
it's a game about environmental, like, consistency and resource for energy because it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk when there are clear alternatives. And it's dumb. And any excuses you give deserve to get punched in the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what really made me kind of like decide to give this game another shot was that Danny O'Dwyer documentary. That was really good. And just like hearing how they...
Oh, that was beautiful.
How they came up with like the story, or like how they didn't really. It was like kind of like wait, why are we trying to put a story in this game?
His next thing is a interview with John Romero from the original Doom, like one of the two guys along with Carmack. And apparently in that interview, when they're talking about this game, he drops a bunch of like... He talks a bit, like, he doesn't work at id anymore, but he apparently still has people who are, like, feeding him information, and he never signed an NDA, so he's talking about other different versions of it that got scrapped along the way. I'm really excited to hear some of that stuff.
I heard he hasn't even played the new one yet.
Yeah, he hasn't played the new one yet, though.
So that's not out yet?
No, that's, like, next week, I want to say.
He was on, what was he on? He was on Giant Bomb? He's on the...
Yeah, he was on the Bombcast a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
But he does them so good. I think he should get some kind of award.
Yeah, if we had
Yeah.
Game Journalist of the Year, it would definitely be Danny O'Dwyer because he's been doing some great fucking work with No Clip.
At least we can
But
look
yeah,
forward to a lot of good game documentaries as we go on.
Yeah.
The next 20 years, probably.
God, I want him to get Kojima. Like, that's what I
Oh
want. for
yeah,
him.
holy
Like,
shit!
Metal Gear
Take-
documentary.
Take my money for your
Yep.
free YouTube video.
Yeah. I back him on Patreon. I give him $5 a month to do
Yeah.
that shit.
Well, yeah, if he had a subscribe button that costs money, I would probably click that. And
He does, just Patreon. You just go to Patreon and be like, I'll give you $5 a month.
Oh,
or
they should
$1
do
a
that.
I would
month.
love to
They,
just see
they should
the,
do it through YouTube so I can just pay with Google Wallet.
I hope like years from now we're gonna get like a 40-hour documentary just about Metal Gear that's like
Yeah.
translated. What's the design process for these games? Like, how does it all work, and how did you guys come
Yeah,
up
then,
with this
like, what the
character?
fuck happened at the end of production of MGS5.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's how it should.
I
the
wanna-
details.
And I want to see stuff like I want to see the stuff they cut from Metal Gear Solid 2
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
they cut because of 9/11. The fucking Arsenal gear hitting
Yeah.
New York City and crashing because that whole part I just hate that part of the game
It's
because you
really
can
weird.
tell they cut something. And yeah, I mean the game did come out in October or November. Was it? I think it was October actually.
Hmm.
So 1 month after 9/11, and there's a scene where this thing crashes into New York City. Yeah, people didn't. They got scared. It's stupid.
Yeah, we're getting off topic, though. Doom is really fucking good.
Right. Doom's story is not in that exposition. It is through the environment. There's plenty of stuff you can read and you can learn more about the world if you want to, but you are generally informed through the action and the gameplay, which is entirely
Yeah, there's moments later
a
on in the
visual
game, too.
language that works in the video game format. So it's a perfect video game.
Yeah, there's moments later on, too, just the environmental stuff where it's like you'll just be walking through one of these UAC facilities and there'll be messages playing over the comm system about, like done like corporate messages, like in corporates, be like, hey, remember, Casual Friday is coming up and stuff like that. It'll be like, remember, if you sign up for the Revenant program, you'll get this bonus. Like, don't forget to do your chanting before work every day. Like, it's so fucking, like, it's funny. Like, the fact that we're even talking about story in a Doom game is fucking insane. Like, that's crazy. What do we think wins this list?
Well, I'm going to say this because we all have our picks. Because I know Andy, I mean, maybe you're going to back me on Uncharted, but we have 3 here. David has played all 3 of these games, though, not to completion. So I don't. But he's got to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, like an hour each.
I mean, which
I think if it was left to our devices, you would probably go Uncharted, I would go Doom, and Andy would probably go Watch Dogs.
right.
So are you saying we just leave this up to David?
It's always David, man. It's always
Yeah.
David.
And it's great because I don't play video games in general a lot.
Yep. I would be fine with any of these winning, so I'm completely okay with David picking the winner here.
Yeah, they're all fantastic games. The gameplay in Uncharted 4 is fantastic, and it is very cinematic, but not in a way that is detracting from the video game-ness. There was a part in Uncharted 4 where I was like climbing something, and I wasn't sure that I could, or like like whatever I was climbing, the wall I was scaling was intuitive enough to the point where like they didn't have anything highlighting what I could climb. I just sort of felt that I could climb to a certain place. And in some other video game, there might have been some indicator.
And that action scene, like, there's parts where you're like, I wonder if like I could like jump to the other car and like kill those guys, and then you do it, and he like does it like in the most amazing way possible. Like, how is it this easy to do it? You know, or you also had auto aim on, so it helps a lot, but you can relatively pull off these like amazing feats in that game without having a lot of skill. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
It'll be interesting when they turn it into a movie. If they turn it into a movie, how possibly to
Well,
translate.
hopefully
Part of-
never, because every single time they've come to the fucking drawing board for this. What was the last? Who was gonna play?
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark. But who was before
The
that?
new...
Wasn't Dennis Hopper gonna be in it at one point or something?
No, it was
I'm
always
trying to-
Wahlberg. It was David O. Russell doing it. The new writer
Yeah.
is the guy they have writing it now is
Joe
He is a
Carnahan?
good, yeah, he is a good pick. He's the dude who wrote he did the A-Team movie, and like that's exactly the tone this like an Uncharted movie should have.
Yeah, it's that with Indiana Jones as applied.
They need
Yeah.
to take it seriously though and actually make a good movie here, not this bullshit that Hollywood's been churning out, like Assassin's Creed and like they think that like they just if we have like some kind of iconic thing in the movie, like we'll make sure he has the scarf like he had in Uncharted 3, and that's gonna be enough, you know, stupid bullshit like that. We'll make sure we get the correct gun, that little pistol he has. Like
Honestly,
no.
like
you have to
Pixar should
take
do
it seriously.
an Uncharted movie.
Here was-
like,
that
I,
would-
I
I would say
actually
yes.
I actually just found the original rumor from it was like 2009 or 10 about the Uncharted movie, and Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci were also rumored.
Yeah,
to be in
Robert
it.
Joe
De
Pesci
Niro
is the
was
villain?
going to be playing. Robert De Niro is rumored for Sully.
I can buy that.
Joe Pesci would be like the bad guy, like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah. Here's the casting for that movie at this point. That guy that David was talking about as
Ken Marino.
Drake. That's the one. He looks the part. You get Bruce Campbell as Sully.
Oh,
You get oh god, I had a pick for fucking his
Elena.
wife. Elena. I can't remember it now. Actually, like thinking about it, like Jennifer
Jennifer
Lawrence
Lawrence.
would be a pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she would be a pretty good Elena.
yeah, she would.
Yeah.
Do it. Make it
Um,
happen. If that cast, I could actually see this movie being good. I don't know about the guy who plays Drake. You guys have seen him in other stuff, but the fucking movie.
He
is
looks
kinda,
the part, and he's got
Who'd you
he's
say
got
for Drake
comic
again?
chops. Ken Marino. He sounds like Dan Marino, but he's not Dan Marino.
Yeah, just look up a picture of this dude. Like, he's like if he got in shape, like
Yeah,
he's got
Absolutely.
Drake face.
He's got
He's
that
got
Drake
Drake.
Oh
face.
my God, Grant, that's the guy from Eastbound and Down. He's Guy. He's that.
No, no, they can't. That guy, no.
Season 4. Yeah, season 4. Oh my God. Well,
That
he's
weasel face dick. He might look like him in a picture, but no way. He's like the asshole uncle
of
or
that-
brother in every.
Gabe. Have you ever seen Eastbound and Down?
Nope. I
Really?
watched the first episodes and thought it sucked.
Oh God, that show is the funniest show ever. But yeah,
It's just a bunch of Will Ferrell garbage.
So no. Season 4, Ken Marino is in that show. He's like a former baseball player or something, and he has like his own ESPN type show. And Kenny gets to come on it, and it just becomes a big. He's a dickhead. It's the funniest
I
shit.
can't
ever.
see him. Well, the point is, I can't see him
No,
as
I can
Drake.
totally see him, and when I Google this picture, I see this guy right now. Like, I can totally see
He's too
Drake.
old
I
already
see what
too.
you're talking about, David, but no.
but I don't care that much. I just think he looks the part.
He is kind of old for it. He was born in '68, so
This
he
guy's
might be
too
too
old.
old. Yeah. You
Anyway,
could find
yeah.
somebody to play Drake though. Like I don't think that's an impossible task. It's not fucking
and
goddamn
that picture looks
Mark
like it's-
Wahlberg though.
This picture looks like it's like 15 years old.
But yeah, all right, David. So what wins? What wins, David?
Well, I mean, I'm leaning towards Watch Dogs 2 because it's prescient, because its opening cutscene establishes the shittiest world, which is the realist world, and any form of education on the truth of how shit works is
I kind of feel good
important.
about giving it to Watch Dogs 2 because I feel like that game had a lot against it going in,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
like I
'cause
said, I
nobody
didn't play
expected
it,
to be that
but
good.
I didn't play it, but I believe you guys that when I do sit down and play it, I will like it. That game had like astronomical odds, and nobody was rooting for it.
Right, because like
And-
Watch Dogs was supposed to be fucking amazing, and
Yep.
it came out and it was kind of like a wet fart, and like I remember just hearing people not impressed about it, and so I was not eager about a sequel when I heard about it, but then it's fun. It captures that GTA spirit. It's got the story chops. The it's with it. Doom is just like the Mad Max Fury Road of this year, because it's like an old thing returning to its roots, but also being completely fucking fresh. Like it's very analogous to that. It's got a lot of story, but not in an exposition-y, hit you over the head way.
It's just a solidly
pure-
made video game. Like it's
Yeah,
a
like
video
it-
game-ass video game, and
It's
it's
trying to
made
make a pure. It's a
extremely
pure
well.
experience.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's Mad Max Fury Road. Like it's the purest form of its medium, and it excels at that, and it also tells a good politically charged story that we can all get behind. Like Doom guy doesn't compromise with the fucking hell frackers. Like the guy, tells him.
Look,
I
David,
played
David,
it,
is it?
There's a part where he's like, you can put this cell back into the thing, and this is what powers it, and he just breaks it.
But
Don't
David,
do it.
is it moral to punch a demon in the face? Like, I don't know if that's couldn't we have like a dialogue with the demons?
Well, they are demons.
They just have a
Yeah.
different
No,
political
David.
and theological point of view than us.
No, David, you're the demon.
Yeah, you're just as violent as the demons. I will say that you are ripping and tearing. You are just as violent as the demons.
God,
So
I
how
completely
could it be?
forgot they used rip and tear in a serious way. Jesus Christ, like that fucking just the background for anybody who doesn't know, there was like the Doom comic back in the day that came with like certain like fucking versions of the original game, and it's just this completely shittily writ thing where it's just like the Doom guy monologuing, and weirdly enough there's like a monologue about like toxic waste and like the future of the environment in that comic, but at one point he sees the cyber demon, he's like, "You're huge, that means you must have huge guts, rip and tear your guts." It's like, and they use that, they use rip and tear in the opening scene of this game. Like,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
That's kind of how I felt by the end of the game. Like I felt like it was just pure chaos, and I was like in a pile of just like viscera. Like I was just tearing people apart. Like I wasn't even shooting anymore. I was just like pulling people apart with my bare
I'd
hands.
really
Yep.
like to play that game in VR. If they could come up with
Yeah.
a VR,
I don't think
version,
no way you could do it.
That might be too fast. You would
No.
just be throwing up everywhere.
do it granted and get anti-nausea medication.
Yeah.
That wouldn't
Love
help.
it.
Dramamine.
Hey,
Is that what
get
you
a
got, Grant?
What's
get a
that?
big bucket.
Is that what you got? Did you get Dramamine?
Yeah, I've been just a side here. I've been playing RE in VR, and I bought Dramamine anti-nausea medicine, and I used it the first day, and it worked. I mean, I didn't get sick, and then I didn't use it the next day, and I didn't get sick. So I think it was.
I
just-
have a feeling like the VR sickness stuff is something like once your body gets accustomed to
You
it,
know what it is? Though?
it won't happen.
You know what it is? When I played the demo, I started in smooth motion, and that fucked me. And then I went to 3D,
Yeah.
30, and the damage was already done at that point. And I think that's
Yeah.
what happened. You can't do smooth motion. You got to do the 30-degree turning. Yeah. But no, there's no way Doom would work in this. They just couldn't do it. Maybe they can redesign a VR.
Fuck that. I'd like to try it.
Enjoy
I
your
bet
game.
somebody will hack together something for like the fucking.
It would have to be
Vive
a
get
slower
work,
pace.
but-
It would have to be a slower pace, like specifically designed for it.
Like put a
Doom
filter over your
3
nose,
would work in VR.
Yeah, it would.
Put a funnel to your mouth.
Actually, I think Doom 3 is in VR already. I think you
That
can
makes
actually
sense.
play it on
Yeah.
5. Yeah.
So what are we deciding here?
Yeah, what is it?
Oh, man.
What is it, David?
It's tough. It's tough. Watch Dogs 2 and Doom both have that political edge. Watch Dogs 2 is the more prescient shit. But Doom, like, I don't know why we never compared it to Mad Max Fury Road before, but it's
Yeah, that's a
Mad Max
really
Fury
apt
Road.
comparison. It totally is.
In many ways, it is the Fury Road of video games, in that way that it's so pure and brilliant in what it does. So I think, I want to give it to Watch Dogs, but I think just my own logic has undone that. I think I got to give it to Doom.
All
Doom
right.
is the best game. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, I'm totally cool with this. I like this list a lot. These 3 games are all fucking great, but our winner for best game 2016, Doom. Runners up, Uncharted 4 and Watch Dogs 2.
It was a fucking really good year for games. Like,
Yeah,
that's-
like I think 2016 is going to be one of those years. Was 1998 one of those big ones? Like Deus Ex was out, and like all those other fucking big name
There-
games. Was like a legendary year for gaming.
the last year that I can think of that was as good as this was whatever year the original Mass Effect came out, and then I remember even if it's not as big anymore, but Modern Warfare came out like the same month, and then there was like other stuff. It's like right when the Xbox 360 was like hitting its stride, like it was the launch year, and then there's this year, and I would say the same thing's happening with like the PS4. Well, it's not just PS4, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
some of
like
these
I'm looking at
games-
like the Wikipedia article list of video games considered the best, and like list of years considered the best as well. And 1998 is up there because it's like fucking Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Resident Evil 2.
Oh man, yeah.
Like what else? StarCraft was
Wow.
that year. The first
Huge.
Rainbow Six game, Metal Gear Solid. Was,
What? Okay, yeah, that's the best year.
That was 98,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, 98 was fucking huge. I remember. Do you guys remember that show we used to watch in school? That Channel One.
Yeah, yeah.
They had a trailer for Ocarina of Time, and that was crazy.
Fallout 2 was that year. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
yeah, like 98 was a great year, but like
I
I
wasn't
think
a PC gamer at
2006,
that point,
2016 is going to go down like right alongside it.
The year of the shooter for sure, if anything.
Yeah.
Fantastic shooters. I mean, I'm trying to think of a game that isn't a shooter besides like Uncharted 4. I can't. Like even fucking Resident Evil, the Resident Evil game that came out. Well, that's 2017. Never mind. But
Yeah.
that's where we're going. Everything is a shooter now, and I'd probably be disappointed with that fact. But they all just turned out so good. Even Call of Duty was good this year. Like that game is not getting any recognition, but that campaign is good.
I mean, I didn't think it was that good.
I like what I played.
I played a little bit after I played Titanfall because I wanted.
The multiplayer
I-
shit.
I was well, no, I didn't play any multiplayer even. I just wanted to play some more campaign after the end of Titanfall 2, and that was a step down. I was like, this
Yeah.
is just.
But what I'm-
All right,
what we're
we
getting at-
need to move on here. It was
Yeah.
games were good. This category I think is going to be maybe a little bit shorter just because we have less nominations, and I already think I know what these three are going to be. I in fact already have them highlighted. Let's see if it stays that way. Best new show, and I will just say we have new there, but in the future doesn't really matter this year. But anything that is like a anthology series would also count for this because they're standalone episodes. So like or anything like American Horror Story or True Detective would also count.
I guess
'Cause
Fargo
it's
could be on
standalone
there, too.
seasons.
Well, no, Fargo.
so
would be a
Fargo-
sequel. It is. A sequel.
Now Fargo could make it because it's a standalone
It's
enough.
always
that I think.
it's always kind of it's not following up the last,
It is
Yeah.
connected
Well,
though, directly.
not directly.
Yeah, but like if you hadn't seen season 1 of Fargo, you could still watch season 2 of Fargo and be okay.
That's true.
Sure.
All right, so what we got here, here's the nominations. We have Stranger Things, Luke Cage, Preacher, Atlanta, American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, Goliath, and High Maintenance. David, you literally just finished Preacher earlier today. Tell me about Preacher, and then we're going to take it off this list.
Okay, yeah, Preacher's the what long-awaited, I guess, adaptation of.
Yeah, this has been in, like,
comic.
Yeah, just going over that, like, originally this was going to be a series of movies, like, Mark Steven Johnson was attached to write and direct. The dude who played Cyclops in the first X-Men movies was going to be Jesse, and there's going to be movies. Then they pitched it to HBO, and this was HBO, like, right in that same time period where, like, they were canceling all their good shit because it was too expensive and edgy. So it's like right around the same time, like Rome, Deadwood, and Carnival all got canceled. And then it's just sort of languished for a while until AMC finally picked it up with like Seth Rogen producing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogan Goldberg. And,
I'm really glad the show finally got made. I'm just not 100% happy with how it's turned out.
Yeah, my issue with the show is that it should have been like 3 or 4 episodes shorter. There's just some filler in the middle
Yeah.
of this season. Like it starts really strong, it ends really strong,
They committed to doing not enough, because I get what they're doing and it's smart. It's actually really cool what they're doing, where they make you like learn about these characters and you're like, oh, and actually sort of hate them, like hate them in not a good way. Like there's characters in this like I was sick of immediately, like the guy that he makes break his own arm or whatever. Like that guy, I hated him. All these people, and it's like, are these going to be like the regulars? Like they're going to be kind of just characters throughout the whole thing? It's like, nope, fuck that. And it wipes them all out. Like that's amazing. But it would have been better if they'd followed their normal like show starting, has done a 7-episode season as kind of just a taste, like almost like a mini series. And then just, if it does well and people like respond to it, just go full on and make the whole thing.
I like the balls on it to have, because I knew I had heard about it. I think in the comics or whatever that like I haven't read the comics, but I was familiar enough that I knew the town explodes at the end, or not at the end. The town explodes at one point.
Yeah, that's the beginning of the first issue, basically.
Right. So
the town getting
so at the end of season 1 of the show, like, and you have kind of invested in these characters, but they do go through these arcs, and then the town explodes. In a pretty clever way, and yeah, that's ballsy, because like a lot of the names in the title credits are gonna be replaced by new characters now. I guess
it's like the show can start proper now. Like this all. I mean, I can't deny though that if they just stuck to the comic, I think it would have been more compelling. Because that comic, there's nothing wrong with it. They could have just done the comic.
Yeah, like I think that's what we're getting to now. Like all the pieces are in place. Like the comic is basically like a road movie for a lot of it. Like it's them going to different places. I hope it doesn't fall into the Walking Dead trap of like every arc in the comic is an entire season. Like I could see half seasons for some of these. Like
make the show
half
as long
a season
as
in New York, and they spend half a season in New York,
I agree
and spend
with
half
that.
a season in San Francisco. Like
that's a weird
that
thing
should
to
be.
say, but yeah, I think they should learn a lesson from what Agents of Shield is doing. And Agents of Shield is doing, like, you know, each season is, you know, they use their winter break as their halfway point. Each season is like 2 chapters.
Well, you know they're gonna drag stuff out. Like, you know they're gonna drag stuff like with his with Jesse's mom or his grandma and stuff like that. You know they're gonna do that. Like,
I don't know what the fuck they're going to do with his mom, because they've already used Quinn Cannon.
Well, not his mom, but his grandma, the evil grandma.
Yeah, like I could see that one actually taking like, and actually no, like that has to be like a couple episodes. That needs to be like a fourth of a season. Like there's not enough there unless you do like real heavy flashbacks. But yeah, like David, like as somebody who didn't read the comics but did just finish this, like what were your thoughts on the series as a whole?
Yeah, so I like where they left off and where they're gonna go. And yeah, my familiarity with the comics is just from hearing about it. Like I knew that I knew, I guess, like I had spoiled, I already knew some of the spoilers to the end of the season, like the fact that God is missing, that kind of thing. But I think overall, like, yeah, the show's kind of shaky in parts, kind of bumpy, with some uncharacterization. Even though I was kind of binging it, I was still, at some points, I was a little confused with like Tulip's motivations at certain times. But overall, like thematically, it's doing a lot of cool stuff. I like that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg have kind of been going and exploring like religious themes and stuff with things like This Is the End and probably something else. But Preacher here especially is exploring some interesting and cool themes and showing some cool shit. And
it's hard to like really like talk about the show because it's like in a lot of ways it really hasn't even started in my opinion, to like all the stuff that they've established in this first season is like completely doesn't matter. I mean, I guess you could say that we know the characters better than we did in the comic, although I don't really think a lot of the stuff they changed about any of the characters is compelling in any way at all. Like, I think they made Jesse into a worse character. Tulip, I think maybe they've actually added a little more to her character because she's kind of just his girl. Like, what was her
Yeah.
story even? Like,
In the comics, like she's pissed at him for leaving, and like she's got some stuff in the comics that I sort of wish they did here, like having her fucking was it like her mom be a prostitute in this? Is that
Yeah.
the way they went? Like the thing is, like in the comics, like her mom died in childbirth and she was raised by her dad, and her dad like her origin issue is nice because like we see her dad like waiting, like he's in the bar with all of his friends and he's like talking like, "Yep, my wife's at the hospital, is gonna be like a boy." You know, like I'm gonna teach him how to fight and shoot guns and hunt, and like I bought him this baseball mitt already, and like he gets a phone call, and like he hangs, it's like, "Oh, okay," and hangs, it's like, "Wife's dead, baby's a girl," and then like it's like that guy's transformation from being this like fucking weird misogynist pig into like the guy who's like yelling at the school and telling his friends about like fuck you for saying a girl can't play baseball if she wants to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then like he gets killed in a hunting accident, and her whole thing is like she hates guns, but she's really fucking good with them because she grew up using them. And like that's like her using a gun for the first time in the comics is like a thing. Like
Yeah.
it's a moment, which they sort of like got rid of here by having her already be like fucking straight up killing people in that first episode.
Yeah, and they did a pretty good job with Cassie and basically coloring him.
Yeah,
as a giant
Cassidy I
piece
think
of
is
shit.
perfect.
Giant
Yeah.
piece of shit. And you think, and the whole thing with him is that you think this is as bad as he gets, but then there's always more. There's always more where he can let you down in a certain way. But he's also got a heart of gold, despite the fact that he's like the worst person on the planet. I mean, he means
Like
well.
his thing is like in the comics, like he doesn't know how to be human because he's never had to be.
Yeah.
Like
And his is one of the most exciting arcs that we're going to talk about. The more you learn about him and like how did he
Yeah.
become a vampire, and
yeah,
you know,
like what's like Cassidy in fucking 1930s New York like
yeah.
it's really fucking cool.
And then
Yeah.
of course you have in the Santa Killers they completely nailed, and
Yeah, he's the one part I think they have 100% down.
Arseface is
This time.
interesting, but I don't think his character is going to be as well. It's
I don't
hard
think
to-
he's coming back. I don't think Arseface
that's-
is coming
I
back.
think he has to, man.
I don't think he does. Like he's a joke character in the comics, but like I don't
They
think
make him
he
into a
fits.
sympathetic figure, though.
Yeah, they
I
made him into a
kinda like
sympathetic
him.
figure, then
Kinda
got
made
rid
him
of him.
into a
Like
conscience.
he doesn't need to come back and be a fucking rock star and like end up marrying a girl with one eye who can't like who has a condition where she doesn't see things as they actually are, so she sees them as super handsome.
Yeah,
Like they don't need to do that shit. I think it's fine.
I think they're
It's
going to
just
bring him back because I mean
I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue to come back in the same way he has been as a
ghost.
hallucination.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like him taking like the role of John Wayne in the comics as his like Jesse's conscience made flesh, as it were.
So do we think this show hangs in the list? I wish it
No,
did,
it
and,
does not.
and I think
I wish it did too. I think like honestly, we may have to make an exception for it next season if it is as disconnected from this season as I'm guessing it will be. But
The
I
only
think
reason
it has the
Yeah.
most.
the
If
only
this is like
reason-
best potential, like
the only reason
It's
I think
a
we should
fun
keep this
show.
category is because there's too many good shows out there.
Yeah.
Because we'd have to be talking about Game of Thrones. We'd have to be talking about The Americans. Our list would be, we'd have to do a whole
yeah, it'd
show.
be pages.
It'd have to
Yeah,
be
it'd be pages and
seasons.
pages long. Yeah.
So
Yeah, but it's yeah. Preacher's
maybe
a
we
good
will
show.
make an
It's got
exception
great
for Preacher.
performances.
Yeah.
It's got the performances are good. The look of the show is cool. It's got some cool stuff in it. So I think it's like it's good to be on.
It's got,
it's
awesome-
it's got a reason that it's nominated. Like
It's got awesome title
music.
cards.
Mm-hmm.
Best
Yeah.
those like cold what would you call those title cards? Where it's
Yeah, they're
like-
just title cards. It's
I
like
love that.
hell. Yeah. Texas.
Yeah, the way that it reveals that stuff is real fun.
Yeah.
So
They've got some stuff right, but they've got a lot of things they've got to work on, I think, on that show.
All right. Speaking of, let's move on. That's cut. Speaking of comic book stuff that's really good but not gonna hang on this list, Luke Cage. I really enjoyed Luke Cage. It's like as Mustafa was saying, like it's an important show, like not in like how political it is, but like it's just political enough, and like the fact that it's not just politics, it's just like here's just a superhero show with a black lead, is inherently kind of political, like
Mhm.
just that it exists. And the rest is just sort of icing. Like he's like a bulletproof black guy wearing a hoodie, and like it becomes a fashion statement. Like towards the end of it, where like other guys are wearing it and stuff. The soundtrack in this is great. The acting in it is great. I think it loses points because they kill the more interesting villain 2/3 of the way through the show. I do think, oh god, the female, what's her fucking name?
Misty?
The
Oh no.
no, the evil one,
Uh, oh, what is it? I forget.
Big Mama. I don't know.
No. Black Dahlia, Maria,
Black Maria,
Maria?
yeah, Black Maria, Black Mariah.
Mariah.
Yeah, like I think she's really interesting. Like she's the secret real villain of the show. Like she's the one who's obviously coming back. But
Mhm.
I like Cottonmouth a lot. I wish like he was still around. I don't think Diamondback was as interesting. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to like next season with more Black Mariahs being like she's basically like the black female kingpin at this point, and that's really interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, my thoughts on the show are well cataloged in our backlog. But
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Shades is
just
real
it's-
cool.
Shades is cool. It's weird that yeah, like a quarrel with it that doesn't have anything to do with my expectations of what the show is going to be is that it does kill off its interesting villain and then gives us a villain that is not as interesting and like kind of coincidentally happened to be behind Cottonmouth's organization even
Yeah,
though
it's like if in Jessica Jones they killed Purple Man 4 episodes before the end, and then like Stilt Man was the villain for the rest of it or something. It's like, wait, what?
yeah,
like-
it's like he's kind of okay, he's not the head of the Serpent Society or he's not a governor of the Serpent Society, which is disappointing, but he's like behind Cottonmouth's operation or he's funding Cottonmouth or whatever. And he just so happens to also be Luke Cage's brother, who like got him sent to prison many years ago, and that Luke Cage happens to be fucking with him now, so that he's like, oh shit, the guy fucking with me is my brother. I'm gonna fuck with him, like now I'm really gonna whatever, kill him for real myself or whatever, get more revenge. I don't know. It's weird. Like the show. Like halfway through it's like, hey, let's try and kind of be like Dexter season 1 a little bit. I don't know, like they should have done either all of it is about his brother or all of it's about Cottonmouth. I don't think that switching villains not exactly halfway through but most of the way through, like that didn't work as much.
Yeah, one of the things I do like is like it doesn't go all the way in that direction like we all sort of thought it would, but like the political stuff, like that speech he gives about the N-word in season 2, about like don't you fucking call me that, especially not in front of this building, like is like maybe is like right up there with like some moments of Jessica Jones as my favorite moment in any Marvel thing ever. Like it's a really fucking well written and well acted little monologue.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
then like go ahead.
Yeah, it's got. Yeah, it's not exactly what we expected from the first black superhero show, but it is definitely a black superhero show, and it's got a lot of that goodness in it, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it hangs on this list though, just because of the villain stuff. Another positive is like the music, like I said, like both the soundtrack and the score, like are really fucking good. Like this was up for both best original music and best use of licensed music. It didn't win either of those because of the stiff competition, but like the nominations were well deserved. It's like out of all of Marvel stuff, I think it's probably the best of either of those, except maybe Guardians of the Galaxy. Like it's like the needle drops. It's basically Black Guardians of the Galaxy as far as that goes. Like it's so fucking good. Like that Jidenna song in like Long Live the Chief is still one of my favorite moments of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like with some of these other shows, like I said, I think I know what the 3 are going to be here, and it doesn't quite hang.
Yeah, it's good, but it's compared to the other shows I think we have on this list, it's not as up to that level, but it is still a really good show, and it's like an important show, and I'm looking forward to season 2. more so probably than like the next season of Daredevil or even the next season. Jessica Jones is a question mark because Jessica Jones is a perfect first season. I'm
Yeah,
like,
like it's one of those questions.
I
Like they
wonder-
did the big thing from the comics. It's like, where do you go from here with that character?
Yeah, but Luke Cage, I'm looking for.
I think Daredevil's going to be. I think like that's going to be the season for Daredevil. Like I really like 2. I think that's going to be one of those shows where like every season gets better, at least up until this next one, because the arc they're adapting is like the Daredevil arc. Like we're going to see Bullseye. We're going to see the return of Nuke from Jessica Jones. We're going to see the Kingpin doing some fucking hardcore gangster shit. Like it's going to be there. And like Punisher is the thing I'm looking forward to the most, but because it's like a wild card at this point. But yeah, Luke Cage is definitely going to have a good season 2 as well. Like it's all the Marvel Netflix stuff is going good, but yeah, cutting it from this list. Grant, Goliath. Tell me about Goliath.
Yeah, I actually deleted this shortly before we started, so.
Okay, never mind.
I mean, it's a great show.
Mate.
It's a great show, but
you want to just talk
No,
about
Goliath kicked ass.
I just knew it wasn't gonna win, so I was like, why bother? It's a great show.
You
People
should all
it.
watch Goliath. You should all
It's
watch.
fucking great.
I was
Where
gonna
is
watch
it available at?
Amazon.
Amazon? Is it Amazon only?
Amazon Prime.
It's an Amazon Prime
Oh.
show. Yeah, it's original.
Okay.
Billy Bob Thornton is playing a slightly more together Bad Santa character, but he's a lawyer, and he's got his shit together, kinda, not really. And they're trying to investigate this corporation that basically got this guy killed. Everyone thinks he killed himself. You have to watch it. It's like a crime procedural.
It's incredibly
done
like
right.
engaging. Like just seeing Billy Bob Thornton just do his thing, and I've always liked him.
William Hurt plays this guy with like severe facial burns, and he like sits in rooms with red lights, and he's like a James Bond villain. He has a clicker device, and he clicks it when he wants people to shut up. But
I
it's
loved
done
it.
like
I
super
binged it.
serious. Oh, it's so good.
But yeah,
You feel
it's just like it doesn't feel like something I've never seen before. Like it does seem kind of like I've seen this before. Like a guy down on his luck. He's a
Conservative. It's definitely, but Gabe, you should at least watch it. Yeah, I think you'll get.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll check it out at some point. Okay, then tell me about High Maintenance, Grant.
This show is like just one of the shows that came out of nowhere for me. I believe somebody at my work just mentioned it and said I should watch it, and I ended up just over like 2 nights I binged all of it, which wasn't hard because there isn't a whole lot of it. The episodes are fairly short, and I talked about the show already with my favorite character, the guy. It's all about a guy who is a weed dealer in New York, and he every episode is a completely new character, and their only connection to any of the other characters is that they all buy weed from this guy. So you get a very vast group of people here. One of the best episodes of the seasons is all about a dog. It's a dog. The only connection it is that one of the people he buys weed from babysits the dog or dog sits. But the whole episode is just about this dog, and it's like profound. And you never would think that it's an episode about a dog. And then there's just so many like really great moments, so many funny like lines and stuff. It's hilarious. It's touching sometimes. It's always interesting. Always. Like I could watch this show all day. Like there could be 1,000 episodes and I could watch them all. It's just one of those shows where the characters have that kind of charisma. They can just carry it like effortlessly. And it's one of my favorite shows of the year. I mean, like if I had to pick like my favorite new show, like since we are doing just new shows, this is my favorite, like easily.
It sounds good. I didn't have a chance to watch any of this. Like yesterday was going to be my day for watching a bunch of stuff I hadn't seen yet, and then Resident Evil 7 happened, so that that plan didn't go as I planned. This show certainly sounds interesting, though. I'm gonna leave it here for now because like we're down to like
I have
4
seen
of the
a little
ones
bit
I
of it,
thought we're going
and it is
to.
pretty good. But I haven't connected with it just like Grant has yet, so I can't really say.
Yeah, the last 3
I'm
things
there.
I have on this list are the ones I think are going to make it, but I won't cut this for certain yet. David, Atlanta.
Yeah, I haven't seen all of Atlanta, but
I have.
I know that it won
And I'm the one who
Globe
nominated
for-
it.
Yeah. I
it won
thought
the Golden
David had
Globe
just
for
finished
Best
but
watching
if,
it.
but
so.
I mean, yeah, he can probably say more. But I mean, all I can say is I really liked it.
How far are you in it?
I want to say I've seen 4 episodes, maybe 5, but at least 4. And yeah, it sucks that it wasn't on the FX app, or I probably would have finished it.
Yeah,
I
I've only
finished
seen the
Reacher.
first 3. Yeah, it wasn't fucking
It's
up
not.
there.
Yeah, like I
No,
have.
they
took
it
like,
down.
What?
Yeah, that
Why?
and the OJ
Why?
show. So I haven't seen the OJ show either, but like
That's
I've
going to be on
managed,
Netflix soon. By the way,
I've seen
Wait a
the,
minute.
Yeah.
You're telling me you can log in as a subscriber to cable to the FX app, and those episodes are not up?
you
Yeah,
can see
they
the
took them
bonus
down.
Fuck.
extras.
Oh fuck!
That should be
Yeah,
one of the
it's-
shows that's
it's-
up there.
It's strange.
Yeah, it used to be. It was up there because that's how I was watching it.
That'd be like HBO taking Game of Thrones down, and saying, "Well, you gotta buy a new Blu-ray."
But the
Yeah.
Blu-ray's not out.
Yeah, the
apparently,
Blu-ray's
for
not
either
even
of the
out.
shows.
Like, yeah, it's
So it's
real
like-
fucking stupid.
It's
Tell us about
weird.
why it's a good show.
Okay, so yeah, I've seen at least 4 episodes of it. I've seen the pilot like 2 or 3 times because they put it on YouTube. It's Donald Glover's show that he's been working on for years because I remember him mentioning it in a song from like a mixtape a bunch of years ago. He's crafted. I mean, I haven't seen all of it, but he's crafted this funny.
It continues to
And,
be
like-
exceptional the entire way through. Like it's
Yeah,
good.
I haven't seen all of
Serious
this
and-
either, but I love the episodes I saw. Like,
And it's got, you know, it's got political stuff. It's like it's such a good show. It's funny and like that in a kind of weird way in some parts. Sometimes it's like more classically funny, but it's just like it's such a lovable place to want to hang out in and watch this show. And the setting is great. The characters are really fun. The acting and the acting is phenomenal. The
Yeah.
main 3 dudes.
the way it's
are-
shot is really good too. Like,
Yeah,
that prison, like that jail sequence, like the way like that sequence is shot in the second episode is
Mhm.
just so fucking like it's shitty. It like you feel bad watching it. Like, yeah.
And then there's just like some weird mystery stuff that happens, like the weirdo on the bus. I mean, he's a weirdo on the bus, but you get the sense that he's more of like a Twin Peaks X-Files kind of weirdo. Like he might come up later or something. And then not in the jail, but like when his cousin, you know, like his cousin's
Paper
house,
boy?
like a dude comes up to the door and knocks on it in like a Batman mask, but like a T-shirt and whatever, you know. And
It-
he's like,
you almost think
"Paperboy
that
live here?"
they're almost like alluding that like somebody's gonna get shot or something at the end. And I can't remember how it ends, but I don't remember if anything actually came of that. Like it almost seemed like somebody was scoping him out, like they were gonna kill him or something.
Yeah, it's just like you think, because Paperboy shot somebody, but like didn't kill him, and you know whatever. But the like so one episode like kind of ends with oh dang, what's the dude's name? The funny the stoner guy.
He's the
forget
one
his
that's
name.
always he's like extremely wise when you don't
Yeah.
expect him to be. Yeah.
Keith, whatever his name is, the actor. He like answers the door. It's a dude with a white T-shirt and shorts, but with a Batman mask on, and he just he just says, "Paperboy live here?" He goes, "Yeah," and then he's like, "Okay," and then he just runs off. He just runs straight off, and then the dude turns to Paperboy and goes like, "You're too hot."
Yeah, and
it's
then
just it's
there's like
it's-
one-off episodes. Like there's one that's just about his I guess it's not his wife, is it? His ex-wife, the one that he
no,
has
it's
a
his
kid.
girl.
His
It's
girlfriend.
his girlfriend.
Yeah,
I
there's
guess.
there's one all about her just trying to. She gets kind of she gets like, I'm not gonna say suckered into, but gets talked into going out drinking, and she smokes weed, and she has a good job as a teacher, and then all of a sudden they have a random drug screening. The whole episode is just about her
Oh,
fighting.
that's cool.
Like the whole thing is just her trying to figure out how to do it, and she.
mhm.
She
Don't they
does-
like cut open a diaper and like,
yeah, she
squeeze the
uses.
piss out
She's
of it?
like she uses the
Ugh.
kids. I mean, it's gross, but it's funny at the time, and you're like thinking that's smart. She's like really resourceful. She's a
Yeah.
smart person. Like this is bullshit that she even has to do this just for a little bit of weed, and then she gets all the way in there, and then she's got it like in a condom or something like that, and she's trying to pull it open so she can pour it in there, and it bursts all over.
Oh,
And then she gets out of the bathroom, and she's like, she just decides to come square. She's like, I smoke weed. And then the lady's like, well, we all do. They don't even take these things to the lab. But you've just admitted that you smoke, that you do drugs to me. So I'm going to have to let you go. It's like, what the fuck? This lady just says we all do, but you just admitted that you did to me. Like,
yeah, Donald Glover's comedy chops and just the way that he manages it's just so fucking funny. And I love like okay, so I've seen the pilot enough times to kind of be an expert on it. I love that like all the cast is black. There's like one white dude with a speaking role in the first episode.
And that guy's a piece of shit.
There's something weird going on in the show.
The entire joke is predicated on like it only works because he's white. So it's like
There's...
cool that like pretty much every other character though, like whether it's just like the news reporter or like the woman at the
Justin
Bieber place in
Bieber.
episode 3, it's like they just cast a black person.
There's Justin Bieber's black in this universe.
What?
Like, yeah, there's something weird going on. Like I'm like wondering if there's like a thing going on in the show where everyone is black.
This show's got that weird undercurrent.
But there's one white guy in the first episode that like he says like the N-word or something like that, and he thinks it's funny, but then he won't say it in front of like a different black dude that he's afraid of.
Yeah, he'll say it in front of Ern, but he won't say it in front of Ern with Alfred and Darius there.
Yeah, there's a part where this character was like, "Yo, Justin Bieber's here," and it's a black dude, and it's like,
that's weird.
What? Like, is that what this show is? Like everybody's black or something like that? Like they're just
no, that's
like,
not what it is. That's not what it is. What I mean is that like the one white dude in the first episode, like he's like his character has to be white. Whereas, like, because most TV shows, right, you kind of write the description for a character in your screenplay. You kind of just say maybe what clothes they wear, whatever. You only specify their race if they have to be something that's not white. Otherwise, casting directors will probably grab you a white person. And this show is, like, cognizantly not doing that. It's, casting black people in any given role, like
even in Justin
fast
Bieber's
food restaurant
role,
or whatever.
Apparently.
Well, I think that sounds like a deliberate and specific choice. But the only white person with a speaking role in the first episode is someone who has to be white for the joke about them to work. And that's like something that is kind of the reverse of what you see in a normal.
The only thing that
different TV show, a typical.
Yeah, the thing I can find here about Justin Bieber, like the theories about like that him being black in it, is that it's first it's like commentary on Justin Bieber in real life, like
he thinks
that dude is basically cultural appropriation made flesh. And second, it's like also commentary on like whitewashing, basically, where it's doing the exact opposite. It's like, okay, fine. Here's a white guy who's now black. Fuck you.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about that show that like they didn't the finale felt really anticlimactic and like nothing special happened. Like it felt like the worst episode of the season in a really great season. Like, I don't know. It just, I was like, wait, is that the finale? Like, I'm pretty sure this is the finale. And I'm like, yeah, it's the finale. What was the finale about that,
Yeah.
That's not the only show that does that. I mean, I think the Americans, every single year, the finale is like boring. Like, they just don't, it's like, in your story, it's like you have to have, the ending has to be crazy. Like,
but is the second to the last episode the crazy one?
Typically, there's always a huge thing that happens in it that is crazy and finale-like, but it's never the finale. But it kind of makes sense. Like, why in 10 episodes, there's always going to be something crazy.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer used to do that, where like
Game of Thrones,
the episode before the last one would be crazy, then the last one would be like a breathing episode where it's here's the aftermath. Like,
that's
the
penultimate Rick and
penultimate
Morty season 1. Like,
Game of Thrones is that way, but
a lot of shows are. The penultimate episode is where you have the big shit go off, and then the finale is more like tying up a couple loose ends and then setting up next season, and then they're like, all right.
This one didn't feel like it was doing any of that. It just felt like, well, there's going to be an episode next week, right? Because that didn't feel like anything. Like, oh, nope, that's actually the finale.
Well, okay. I wonder if that might be intentional too. I mean, I'd have to watch it and evaluate it. But Rick and Morty literally does that, where you got the penultimate episode is this plot-heavy thing that explores like the fact that all these other Ricks have gotten together to create a citadel and like a society or whatever. And then the last episode is literally just a party. But yeah, Atlanta is fucking great. I love I think episode 3 is about like his money problems. Like he can't, like it starts with him trying to buy a kid's meal and he can't buy a kid's meal because there's no kid with him. and she's like, I didn't get to this promotion by giving out discount meals.
So I would.
And then like he
Oh,
gets direct deposited like $96, and he takes it, but he's like taking his girlfriend out to a fancy dinner, and like the waitress keeps upselling him on shit, and so he's like he's going broke as he's trying to go on this date, and he can't reveal that he doesn't have enough money because like she hates him already in general. It's really good. It's fucking great comedy.
Yeah, and there's
It's
the guy
got
outside
a
that
really
has the.
cool.
There's the guy outside that's like directing like parking, and he's just a homeless guy, but he's got one of those like cone things that lights up, and he's like, "This is my lightsaber." I don't know.
Yeah, and then like that's like, oh, this the skeezy potentially not legit parking guy, but then like when they leave that scene when they leave the restaurant, like they walk out of frame, and then the dude comes into the restaurant and like grabs a guy. He's like, "Hey man, they're towing your car." So it's like,
Yeah.
it is illegit, but he's good for it. He cares about the customers. Like there's little jokes like that are really good. It's just a solid, like, it's kind of in that vein of Louis or Master of None or whatever, where it's like it's not trying to make you go out with a laugh, like, because it is funny watching Donald Glover's character Earn
It's
like
slice
have
of
these
life
money problems
type stuff. That's really like.
but it's funny, but it's also depressing. Like, you really feel bad for him that he like doesn't have enough money to take his girl out for.
But you get the
a
sense that
meal.
he's gonna win in the end. Like you think that they're building up to like they're gonna make it and it's gonna all be okay. Maybe. I mean, that's what I get. Like he's really fun to root for, Earn. And even
You're
like,
coming in like a robot right now.
Oh,
Anyone
for you
else
guys?
hear
No,
that?
you're fine on my end, so
Okay.
it'll be all right.
It might be my end then.
So I was just gonna say, like, even like the advertisements for this, and this is gonna lead into. I mean, if we're gonna talk about OJ next, the first time I actually saw anything for this is the very final scene of OJ, after the credit sequence. Earn and all his dudes are sitting around a TV, and they go, "That was it," and it's like Atlanta coming in this. Like it was
That's
like,
pretty
it was
good.
a tie-in, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, well, my first thing I was like, well, Donald Glover's in it, I gotta watch it. So, but it was.
Yeah, I
it
was
really
looking
cool.
forward to this show for
Yeah.
a long time, so I'll be
Yeah,
excited
that's,
to watch it when FX puts it back up.
Yeah. I've got it. I can get it to you in some form or another, I'm sure. Anyway, let's talk about American Crime Story: The People vs. O.J. Simpson. I haven't finished this one yet either. I'm like 2/3 of the way through. I know how it ends, obviously.
Knowing how it ends, knowing how it ends, I mean that doesn't even.
Yeah,
matter.
it's the journey, not the destination for
And
this one.
I will
I
say
loved
that,
what I saw, though. It's just like one of those things I just sort of like.
So,
I got distracted, but you guys have both finished it, Andy
all
and
right,
Grant.
so
both finished
you
it, right?
didn't act, so you did not see the episode where the whole episode's from the jury's perspective?
No, I haven't got that far yet.
Is that like the second to the last episode, Grant?
yeah, all I can say is like the final like 2 or 3 episodes are the best of. Like it gets so good by the end of
So
it.
I think this is where it elevates, though, is all of a sudden we got an episode that's from the jury's perspective, and the whole episode is just showing like what they went through, all the bullshit they had to put up with for the whole thing, and at one point they even protested. Like, what did they do again? They came out.
They walked out.
They walked.
They stood up and walked out because
No,
they were.
didn't they do something when they walked and sat down and they were doing some kind of protesty thing? I can't remember.
But they
No.
did it. They did basically a sit-in. Like they said like
They were all black for one of them.
Oh, yeah, that was something. Yeah,
and it was like too late in the trial.
See, because there was like a really strained relationship between them and the cops. Like the cops were supposed to be protecting them, but they weren't doing enough to make them feel comfortable. And it's like, Jesus Christ, you're taking these people out of their lives.
Yeah, Lancito, the judge, dismissed like the 3 deputies who were supposed to be protecting them, so they wore all black in like
Yeah.
protest of it.
Well, it was just like such a circus. Like they would dismiss somebody for the smallest reason because like they couldn't have any bias in there. But ultimately, that's exactly what happened. Is the entire jury got won over by bias in favor of OJ.
No, they didn't get won over by bias. They got won over by being treated like shit.
Yeah, but they decided
They
to.
got so mad. They got so mad at the poor treatment and how long it went on that they just basically turned on him.
Yeah, but
That's not really bias. Like that's almost like, holy shit.
It was spite. It was spite. Is what they happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, that it's just the whole season is just so like well crafted. It's so fascinating, and
It
the
show what
performance.
they lost. It does show where they lost, though. I mean, it does show all the errors they made
Yeah,
that allowed.
it. I remember they said like by the end of this, we're not hoping to explain, or we're not trying to be show who we think did it. We want to at least explain. Well, I mean, you get the sense that the people who watch this absolutely know OJ did it, but they want to also show us how it is they came to this conclusion. You know, and that's really like I think it's a tough thing to do because like all us out here we're thinking he did it, of course he did it. You know, how did they come to this? How did they like let him go? Like once you see all this come together, if any of this is even close to true, it makes sense and it's just really well done.
Yeah, it's basically. It sounds like it's a
Fucked
show
up.
that explains what the fuck happened.
It totally is. And I guess the next season of this show is about Hurricane Katrina.
Really?
Yeah, that's what season 2 is.
Well, that wouldn't be a crime story then, would it?
Well,
You could say that.
It's hey, if it's a what the
lot of
fuck
shit
happened kind
happened.
of show.
yeah, because you have like stuff like the FEMA guy that George Bush appointed to FEMA, and he said, "You're doing a heck of a job, Brownie," and that guy like fucked everything up, and you know,
I mean, I already say that
National
that
Guard
doesn't.
response. The National Guard response caused the whole situation to get way worse. And I remember reading a blog about Katrina where IT guy was in charge of a server farm in New Orleans, and there was flooding, and he was trapped there, and he had weapons, and he was assigned to like provide security and keep the generators running at this IT server farm.
They've actually got seasons 2, 3, and 4 for this show planned out.
So there's
Season 2 is going to be,
Donald
like
Trump
you said, Katrina. Season 3 is going to be the Gianna Versace murder.
Oh,
And then season 4 is Monica Lewinsky.
Wait,
Well-
this is like already like a thing we know.
yes. Oh
Yes.
my god. Oh my god, I'm so excited. They should also do Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Well, we have to wait to see what happens, but yeah, by that point,
We all know what happened with that election, but still, holy shit! If they,
The thing is that we get these quicker than we do the American Horror Story ones because all of these are based on books about the event. Like this one was based on one of them and all that. So American Horror Story, American Crime Story season 2, I can't find the name of the book, but it is based on one. Then 3 is based on Vulgar Favors by Marie Orth, which is about the Versace thing. And then season 4 is A Vast Conspiracy, the real sex scandal that nearly brought down a president. By the same guy who wrote the run of his life, The People versus O.J. Simpson, which was the first season of the show.
yeah, I can't wait now. I mean, like I don't care as much about those, but knowing if they put in the same type of
when's
care stuff,
the next season coming out? Are they already? Does it say when they're coming?
No, but I would assume sometime this year for the next one. But,
They're probably just gonna knock them out. I mean, all they have to do is just assemble everybody, get them the script, and
I'm sure
Mhm.
shoot this
it takes.
shit, and
I'm sure it takes a
go
lot
fuck
of
up.
research and
No,
stuff.
you
to-
gotta fictionalize it enough. You gotta add specific words. You
Mhm.
can't just have outlines.
Yeah, it's got to take like lots of research and stuff. But you know, after seeing this, I think they can do it. I don't think it's going to be as interesting. I mean, maybe the Clinton one I could see being very interesting because there's a lot.
Oh,
of,
the Monica Lewinsky one's gonna be.
see a lot of
fucking
those
nuts.
other ones you mentioned. I don't even know what those are.
You know who had a great
Versace was
Versace-
oh god,
Johnny
he was the
Versace,
fashion.
Andrew Cunanan. Andrew Cunanan traveled through the United States murdering people, and he finally ended in Florida, and he got
Yeah.
onto the designer Gianni Versace's boat and like murdered him. Right?
No, he we don't know. Cunnan killed himself on a boat. I think Versace was killed at his mansion. But yeah,
So Andrew Cunanan killed himself inside Versace's boat.
I don't think it was Versace's boat. It was a boat. That's all Wikipedia says.
That was weird though. I remember being a kid and seeing. I just remember that in the news.
Yeah.
Hear about this.
Well,
hearing
we'll
about
talk.
this-
We'll talk about it when
And
it comes
Canadian.
out.
Oh, I can't wait.
Apparently, Katrina is not out until 2018.
You know, as a
we've got like a
good,
year.
as a good Monica Lewinsky story is John Mulaney and his the Comeback Kid special on Netflix, like his last big story. I mean, it includes elements from like stuff earlier because he's talking about his parents, but it's just a fucking great, like his last story is, or his closer is about Bill Clinton meeting Bill Clinton, and it paints a really fucking great picture. So in the
I
meantime,
haven't watched that special yet. I should.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
All right, let's talk about the last show we have up here for nomination, though, which is Stranger Things, which is the one I think all of us have seen all of, right?
Yep.
I think it wins. Yeah, I think it wins hands down.
First off, I think this, before we get into Stranger Things, I think this list personally is Stranger Things, Atlanta, and American Crime Story. Grant, do you have an argument for high maintenance getting on above the other ones?
I mean, if it's my personal list, I would knock, as crazy as this sounds, I would knock Stranger Things off of it.
Ooh,
I will tell you why. I mean,
Oh.
I'll tell you why. I mean, I will agree that this show would probably win for certain reasons, but I'll tell you why. So you can tell me why you like it, and I'll tell you why I don't think it's as great as some people think it is.
Okay, I like Stranger Things because, first off, it's a show that does nostalgia right. It's not just like, hey, remember this thing? Here it is again. It's like a thing that takes elements from all of these different 80s things and sort of melds them together into something new.
And then you
So,
get
like,
stuff like Silent Hill.
Yeah,
Silent
and even
Hill
stuff
shit.
like more modern stuff like Silent Hill, like the other world is very much Silent Hill. And like the monster is even very much Silent Hill. So you've got like all this stuff from the 80s. Like you have Dungeons and Dragons as a thing kids play. You have like even the fucking font is like a Stephen King font from Christine. Like it's like
Yeah, it's playing
that
off nostalgia, and they've got down like a certain. They know like it's gonna tap into a certain thing to people, you know. Like that movie Super 8 tried this.
yeah, it's Super 8 done right. Like I did not like Super 8, but I love this
I
show.
like Super 8. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say why I loved it at the time and I binged it and I liked it a lot.
Super 8 sucked.
I think some of the performances in this are bad enough that it drags it down a little bit. Like I think
Ooh, I
Winona
liked-
Ryder
I don't-
is really bad.
Oh, you're insane. She's fucking great on this show. Like you're the only person I've heard say that they didn't love
Yeah.
her
And
on
I think
this.
certain characters are like not given enough to do. It's hard. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember thinking like, God, some of these performances are cheesy and not in a good way. And and then there was a point where I think towards the end I started to kind of think this is getting dumb and I'm not satisfying with where the like what's going on and stuff. But then the finale was so good that it kind of wiped away my like criticisms. I just think that it's really good. I mean, I'm just nitpicking here at this point because I did really like it. I just think it's kind of annoying when everybody's like, it's the best show I've ever seen. I'm like, well, you don't watch a whole lot of shows that this is the best show you've ever seen.
I definitely think it's the best news show that's come out this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you guys if you guys want to go with it, because it's
I think it
definitely
should be on this list. I'm not sure if it wins. Is the thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's the only one I've seen all of, and I love it. But the things I've seen in both Atlanta and American Crime Story, I do kind of like more than what Stranger Things does. And like, I think, like, as weird as it sounds coming from me, as the guy who's like, no, genre is like just as valid as every other like type of show. Like you can do genre and it can be great. Like I think it being kind of a genre piece drags it down a little bit, just because the other two are much like Watch Dogs and weirdly Doom, such like prescient shows about the current state of the world. Even though one of them is like takes place in the early '90s, like they are like Atlanta and American Crime Story are both like. Great. Stranger Things is a great show.
It's really
Atlanta
fun.
and American Crime Story are important shows.
like, well,
is my
let me put
distinction,
it
I
in
would
this
say.
same like. All right,
I mean,
let's
if you want to talk about important shows, it should be Mr. Robot season 2.
If it was
All
a best new show, if it was a new thing, I would agree with you.
All
But
right, I want to put it in a comparison why I think like, all right, so Stranger Things is like almost everything I like. It's got horror, it's got like kind of fantasy, it's got like that nostalgia thing of like the 80s. It's got all these things like for instance, Game of Thrones. It has total package. It's like it's built for me. but yet in a lot of ways it is the best show ever for me. But I still prefer stuff like Breaking Bad because of the way the story's told and how perfect it all comes together. But I mean, something like Game of Thrones is like hard to deny. Like that thing is not just like crazily well made and like acted, all this stuff. But I'll still take like a really great drama like is the best show of the year. Like my favorite.
This is a weird inversion of the thing I was saying earlier about like Doom. Like, yes, this is Stranger Things is kind of another thing that somebody just pulled out of my head. Like, it's got your like weird Silent Hill alternate reality stuff. It's got shadowy like science guys. It's got like X-Men references. It's got Dungeons and Dragons stuff. It's got all this 80s style.
It's campy.
But
it's kind of too. Yeah.
Like I love everything about it, but like it just doesn't quite click with me the same way the other two did. Like it doesn't resonate as much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I think if it's crazy to me that American thing just about OJ, like it didn't seem like something that'd be that interesting to me. I loved it so much, like some of the performances.
Yeah, I think American Crime Story.
It just captured the zeitgeist of the entire United States.
And I say it's the best show based on performances alone. Like,
yeah,
like some of like I felt so like emotionally invested and just like just heart pounding, like how good this dialogue is and how intense it is, and it's just like some guy arguing in court, like. It's so,
earlier, like last episode when we gave Best Actress to Abby Lee and like not Sarah Paulson, like I said, like I think we'll talk about American Crime Story again later. I think this is where we give that show its fucking due here. Yeah. Like I think American Crime Story needs to win, and I think Stranger Things in Atlanta are the runners up.
I agree. I mean,
I'm inclined to agree too.
First runner up.
The word of mouth around this show, and like, okay, there wasn't a lot of like hype leading up to it that I remember.
The trailers were all
word
awesome.
Of mouth.
The trailers were awesome.
People having watched it and people watching it week to week, just seeing reactions on Twitter from people I followed were so fucking just zealous that this show sounds so amazing. So I'm inclined to agree. I'm inclined to give it. I don't give a. I was what year was the OJ thing?
95?
No, it was 90. It was 93.
93.
It would have been the same. And here's the crazy thing about that. OJ was in the third Naked Gun movie, which would have been in theaters. Like that movie, Naked Gun 3 with OJ, is playing in theaters at the exact time he's like in his Bronco. Like people are walking out of movie theaters having just seen him in this big Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
And they go home and see this. Apparently, Domino's had like their biggest day in history on that day for delivery.
Yeah, the murders happened in 94. The trial was 95, and it lasted almost all year.
It was 94. So it was 94. Yeah. Summer in 94 then.
I remember vaguely seeing it on TV and stuff. I specifically remember him trying on the glove and going, "See, it doesn't fit."
Yeah, it doesn't fit. Yep. I remember they announced the verdict in my elementary school, like over the loudspeaker. Like they got us like. The verdict for the O.J. Simpson trial is in, not guilty. Like,
and I love how
it was a thing. Like,
that movie, The Cable Guy, that whole thing that's going on with that trial that's going on in the background of that movie. It's Ben Stiller's on trial, and he's basically O.J. And then at the end of the movie, Jim Carrey falls on the antenna, and as everybody's waiting for the verdict, it cuts out right at the last second. And then everybody turns their TVs off and reads a book.
On the Simpsons commentary track for the episode that crosses over with The Critic, the showrunners are talking about how during the OJ the chase they were like, hey, that's kind of just outside our offices, and they wanted to make a sign and like go out and hold a sign that just said "Watch The Critic" on Fox. Yeah, but 94, I was 2 years old, and then I was 3 years old in 95. I don't give a shit about OJ. He murdered some people, and for some fucking reason,
and I don't care that much either. But the show
him for murder. So the show will certainly
that 30 for 30 documentary probably will explain exactly why. I hadn't even started. I got it.
Yeah,
it's great.
I started it, but it wasn't immediately grabbing me, so I didn't watch much of it.
So like apparently the subject matter is a hornet's nest of a whole lot of politics and all sorts of stuff. So it sounds like it's the perfect material for a show, and it sounds like they did it.
Just go
really
watch.
fucking well.
It's proof
Just
that
watch
FX is on fire. Like they are just as they are making some really compelling.
FX
TV.
is the new AMC.
Oh,
FX.
Yeah, and AMC's lost their balls.
The
Yep.
president of FX had like, I think he said something like, "We don't know how to make TV. We just find the people who do and let them make it."
Yeah.
Like that's how Louis can just do whatever he wants. That's like Atlanta's like that. Fucking
They-
Always Sunny.
They have so many good
You know?
shows that are like even there's one that just started this year that I gotta remember is it's Taboo with
Taboo,
Tom Hardy
yeah.
is so good so far.
The trailers
And they-
of that look fucking amazing.
They have that FXX thing now, which I assume is for the ones that are even more risque.
Yeah, like that's where It's
was
Always
supposed to be-
Sunny lives now.
They've
Yeah,
gotten
that was
to the
supposed to be
point.
just like, here's the comedy stuff on XX.
Well, with this Taboo show, this show's completely like R-rated. Like they swear all the time and they say fuck all the
yeah,
time.
it's not that. I think FXX was supposed to be for comedy stuff. They had W. Kamau Bell there, but they canceled him, unfortunately.
Yeah, right now they have like It's Always Sunny, Man Seeking Woman, You're the Worst, Major Lazer, and like Archer is moving there for this.
Yeah,
So it's like
and
their
then
comedy channel.
Yeah, and then they have the backlog of every Simpsons episode ever.
hmm
They're
So
just
are we
that thing.
Yeah, I think our list here is the winner, American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, with runners-up Stranger Things and Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, I agree with that.
All right, let's move on to our last category of the night and the awards. Best movie. So here's what we got. Here are the nominations. This is going to be the big one, and we have already been going for 2 hours, so strap the fuck in, I guess. First, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Second, The Neon Demon. Next, Birth of a Nation. Rogue One. Hunt for the Wilder People. Swiss Army Man. Moonlight. The Nice Guys. Everybody Wants Some, and a 11th hour edition by me, not on the doc of the group, but on my own document, Christine.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Yep.
I think
Yeah, we'll get there. Okay. Where do we start here? David, Everybody Wants Some. Tell me why you nominated this, and then I will cut it from this list. Because
Okay.
it's not going to hang with some of these others.
Right. I should watch this movie again because I could use some feel-good shit. This movie is the feel-good movie of the year. It's a spiritual sequel to 1990 or whatever's Dazed and Confused. Whereas that took place in the 70s at a high school and focused on the last day of school. This one encompasses the days leading up to the first day of classes at college in 1980. So still technically the 70s if you think about it. And it just focuses on a bunch of dudes who live in this, in a fraternity house for their baseball team. And it's like the weekend leading up to the first day of class. And it's positive views of.
Is it as good as Dazed and Confused?
I
Yes.
like this movie a lot. I don't think it's quite as good as Dazed and Confused. It is probably my second favorite Linklater movie, though. So after Dazed and Confused.
I didn't
we
finish
watched
this movie. I
both
watched
of
quite a bit of
them.
it.
We watched both of them back to back. We watched Everybody Wants Some first. I do think that just because the last day of school is so fucking important, I think Dazed and Confused does have the edge over it. But
Dazed and
Everybody
Confused
Wants Some-
also has a better cross section of characters, I think. Like it follows more like this. Everybody Wants
True.
Some sort of follows one guy, and you get like with Dazed and Confused, you get like a few
Spicoli.
different perspectives.
You got the Spicoli.
right, no, that's Fast Times.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's Fast Times
shit.
at Ridgemont High.
Right, yeah, totally different. But yeah,
Mila
Everybody Wants
Jovovich
Some-
is in Dazed and Confused
yeah,
from
Ben
Resident
Affleck
Evil
is in
fame.
it.
Yeah, Ben Affleck just being a complete dickhead through that whole movie. It's great.
You got Matthew
Yeah, Everybody
McConaughey,
Wants Some.
or is that also
Yeah,
Fast
yeah.
Times?
Nope, that's this one.
They get
McConaughey's-
older. I get older. They stay the same age.
All right.
Yeah, so Everybody Wants Some has it's focused on this club of baseball players, getting to know each other and competing with their egos, but it presents like a positive masculinity to it. There's this, it's got it's just super fucking fun, and when it ended, I could have honestly kept watching it for the entire school year there. Like I could have just kept watching it for another 80 hours. It constructs an incredibly realistic uh, setting and world that you just love hanging out in, and it's got like a nice little love story in there, and it's just so fucking it's a delight. It's a joy.
Yeah, it's a very good movie, and I think like in another year it might make the list. But this is one of those like I don't have what this fucking list is like I did
Yeah.
the last two in my head because there's so much good shit.
Yeah,
but I don't think this
2016
hangs. Yeah,
2016 was a great year for movies, up there with 2014. If everybody wants them to come out in 2013, I think it would have maybe been a shoe-in.
Mhm.
I don't remember that much, but yeah, 2014 and 2016 were fucking amazing years for movies. 2015 was different because the choice for Best Picture was obvious. This year, it's a lot of stiff competition.
yeah. I'm gonna cut it. Speaking of stuff, I think that we should probably cut. Grant, Star Wars Rogue One.
What? Well,
Oh yeah, it's gone. It's gone. I
Yeah,
agree.
with the rest
It's
of
a
the
fun-
stuff on this
it's
list.
a fun. Rogue
well,
One's a great
okay.
fucking
I will
fun
agree.
movie,
I
but
will agree that I saw it twice.
It's the
and
best
second
Star Wars
time-
movie in like 30 years, but it's not
Here's-
the best movie of the
Here's
year.
why I'm going to go ahead and agree with you that we can cut it right away. I love this movie the first time. The second time, it was a little less so. And and then in between watching those, or maybe it was right after the second time, I watched The Force Awakens, thinking like, "Oh, this is way better than Force Awakens." It's not better than Force Awakens. Force Awakens has better
I watched
characters.
Force Awakens right before it. I liked it way more than Force Awakens.
Really?
My only real issue, I don't like Force Awakens at all. Like, it's the exact opposite of Stranger
Well,
Things for
what
me
I
as far
like-
as fan service go. It's
Yeah.
basically just like that movie may as well be 2 hours of like a steady shot, like a single shot of J.J. Abrams jerking off onto
All
like
right, let
the
me
film of the original Star
give
Wars.
me a fucking.
let me jump
break.
in here for one sec. All right, I think the events that happen in Force Awakens are kind of weak, but I think the characters are much stronger and more likable than any of the characters in Rogue One. Like I
JJ
really
can
like
cast.
I really like Rey and Finn, and obviously you got Han Solo and all those characters. It's a much more memorable cast of characters, and
I think all those characters are more fun, but I don't think they're better.
yeah, but it just ultimately, I mean, I think just seeing it the second time, I was a little bored, and
See, the thing I like about Rogue One is it is very much like the Star Wars movies, all of them, even like the shitty prequels, which tried to do like, oh, but like what side's really bad? It's like it's the side that kills children. But like they're all very black and white. This movie is not that. Like your introduction to like the male lead is him killing a fucking informant.
cold blood,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, just in cold blood. Like it shows like, yeah, there is a fucking
I
price
actually
to like
did
this
like
rebellion.
him a
Like these
lot.
are the good guys that they're fighting for the just thing, and sometimes you got to get your hands dirty to do that. And like, speaking of prescient things, I think this is the Star Wars movie that like was most suited to 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I walked
in a
out
world-
of this.
Yeah, in a world where we're like seriously debating whether or not it's okay to punch Nazis, like a movie, you're like, no, it's fucking, you got to do fucking bad shit for the greater good sometimes, is very much a needed message. Like,
Yeah,
grow some
I-
fucking balls left. Like,
I recently learned yesterday that apparently, like after World War II, a ton of Nazi like propaganda and writing and stuff was just destroyed, right, by the Allies. Like they just destroyed a ton of literature that was, Nazi literature and stuff. And just one of the people who was doing that or something was like, yeah, it's a little bit like the book burnings the Nazis did, but it's a false equivalence because Nazis are anti-human. And this movie, walking out of this movie, and I co-signed, I was going to go nominate it. I saw Grant nominated it. I co-signed that because it's the fucking movie that we need right now. There's I knew that by the time there was that scene where, and here we're not even talking about the cast is really cool. The scale is fucking amazing. It's exactly what I wanted from the guy who directed Godzilla. The scene where they're with Mon Mothma and the Mon Calamari guy and a bunch of other people, when you realize the rebellion is a joint a group of a bunch of different groups coming together, and you have all
Yeah,
the
and they all have a
group
voice
around the
in it.
table,
Yeah.
and they all have a voice in it, and they're all like, I don't know about this plan to go get the Death Star plans or whatever. Like, the rebellion didn't come up with the plan to go get the Death Star plans, this movie tells us, and Jin is like repeats what's his name's Cassian's line about rebellions are built on hope. Like, you know, that's like all these good guys are together, but they can't fucking figure their shit out. Whereas, like, you know, obviously the bad guys have like their shit together because they're just like, we're gonna do bad things. That's simple as that. The good guys are like, oh, I don't know what we should do. I don't like this plan. I think we're gonna pull out. If they pull out, we're pulling out. Like that kind of thing. They're fucking Democrats and they suck ass. And then Jin is like, we gotta do this shit. And they're like, sorry, Jin. And then, you know, Cassian gets a bunch of like assassins and like bad dudes together, and he's like, hey, you know, these guys don't like that much either. Let's go execute your fucking plan. And they just like steal they had stolen an Imperial ship. They, you know, take it and they head off, and Bodhi Rook gets the line where they give it a name. It's like, hey, you're not authorized to leave this planet. And he goes, you know, whatever. And they just come up with the name Rogue One, and they just leave, and they, you know, they fucking get in there and they execute the plan. It's really fucking cool. And then spoilers, like all the main characters die, but it just shows.
That's apparently what the reshoots were too. Like in the original version, like some of them got out alive, and Disney was like, "No, you have to kill all these people."
Yeah, I thought that was an amazing decision because I mean it's ballsy, but it's also it shows you the cost of what war actually is. It shows you they start the war effectively because the Rebel fleet has to show up to help them out. It shows you that cost of what it took to get these plans to Princess Leia. They have and it really does start. It was amazing because it totally like some sequels or whatever. Okay, so like Spider-Man 3 has that reveal that Sandman was the one who actually killed Uncle Ben or whatever, and I'm like, that's a fucking stupid decision. It doesn't ruin the first movie, but it ruins the third movie. Like it ruins itself. But Rogue One, what it does is it contextualizes the opening scene. You know, I was thinking about that opening scene. The first thing we see in Star Wars is the Tantive 4 flying away from the Star Destroyer that's coming after it, and what is happening there. And it contextualizes that, and it amplifies, and yeah, it enriches that by giving us this idea that Darth Vader is coming after them. And I know people have pointed out that hallway scene where Darth Vader's just tearing through these dudes with his lightsaber, and they're like, oh, why do you have to have so much fucking action with Darth Vader, man? Like, that's not... fuck you. That moment is so cool. Fucking tense. Like, okay, yeah, if you're a fan of the iconography of Darth Vader, you'll be clapping or whatever, but, like, Darth Vader is fucking scary there. It's a fucking tense moment. Even though I know what happens because it is a prequel, I'm so fucking terrified that this disk drive needs to get through the door and needs to get through these guys, and they just keep passing it back, and it's really fucking harrowing, and it's really effective. And then Darth Vader just like sees the ship detach, and they're like, well, I guess we gotta go follow this ship. And it brings us right to the end, and yeah, it's like so it's perfectly executed in what it's doing. It's the hands down the best Star Wars prequel, obviously.
Yeah,
but it's also the movie we need right now.
Yeah, it's a much better movie than The Force Awakens on every level, but it also doesn't make this list, despite being maybe the best Star Wars movie and the only Star Wars movie that's ever actually had anything to say, because there's a lot of stiff competition. There's movies that also say things about the same sort of subjects here that are better, and the first act of that movie is technically a goddamn mess.
Yeah,
like the
it's
first
like
15 to 20 minutes, yeah.
I joked that it's similar to Team America, where they keep like rolling out and it's like New York, and then it's like, and then they show like the planet from farther away, and it's like New York, and it's like they do that like 10 times where they have the time.
Yeah, it jumps
like,
to each character. Like, I think actually watching it a second time, I'd be more into that beginning, because after seeing it, I know who these people are.
Yeah.
But like as an introduction to those characters, it was real bad. I sat there for the first 15 minutes of this movie like, oh god, no, oh no, because I had been like a little bit excited for it, and then I was like, this is bad.
It kind of came off as just like man, we have all these planets. We got to show off all these planets, man.
It feels like they didn't know how to introduce the fucking.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to start it, so they just took every idea they had to start the movie and did them all.
It makes sense. It's
Like-
like it's just trying to show that people are coming from all these different places.
Yeah.
But, okay, let's cut.
And
it.
also, like the CGI characters, like Leia looks good, but Karkin took me out of the movie every time he showed up.
I think they showed him a little too much when they didn't need to. Someone said he
Mhm.
should have just been a hologram the whole time.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would have been
I think-
perfect.
I think the CGI for Tarkin actually works. What didn't work for me was his voice.
Yeah, his voice also ruined it. Like the CGI, like my problem was like it was a little bit stiff. Like it had that sort of like stiff CGI problem.
You could tell
Yeah, his voice, he sounded nothing like Peter
if
Cushing.
they would have nailed the
voice.
voice, it would have really went a long way. Because Peter Cushing was like, what did he say? A test will make this battle station operational. He like kind of rolled his R's a little bit, and
Yeah, he had a
Just
very
sound-
unique voice. You'd have to get like an impressionist to do him. Like I
yeah, it
think.
didn't sound anything like. It's like and that would have been so easy to get someone to do that.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that can do
Mhm.
that.
All right, let's move on. Here's one I think's going to get cut, basically because you're the only one who's watched it, David. Hunt for the Wilder People.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me
This
why it's
movie-
good though.
It's delightful. It's a delightful. I don't know if it's not like a coming of age movie. It's just a delightful little adventure movie in the New Zealand outback and or the forest, I guess. It's about a troubled kid who like I talked about it before. I said like you think that it's setting up that like this cantankerous old man and this like problem child, foster child kid, like you think they're going to be at each other's throats the whole time, and they're at each other's throats a little bit, but not in the way that a typical Hollywood movie might have them. Like the kid is not a bad kid. Like he does have interests in things. He's not like when he gets to this new foster home, he doesn't destroy shit. Like he's not Eric Cartman. He's like it subverts stuff like that. It's just a fun, it's a heartwarming, lovely movie with some great jokes and touching little tale. It's good. I think the competition's too stiff for it to be on this list, but it's definitely like everyone should check it out. You'll love it. It's fun for the whole family, I guess. He names his dog Tupac. It's a good time.
All right, let's get into what I think is going to be an actual fight here. This is, I think, one of these movies is going to make this, and the other one is not. I'll start out. Birth of a Nation. I didn't know how great the Ku Klux Klan were until I watched this movie. No, this is the Good Birth of the Nation that came out this year. It's about the slave rebellion. Oh God, I can't remember the name of the guy. Oh God,
Nate?
I'm looking it up.
Nate.
Yes, the Nate Turner rebellion. The Nate Parker. Nate Parker.
Nat. Is it
No,
Nat Turner. The Nat Turner
Nate
and Nate
Parker
Parker
made the
is
movie.
directed it. Yes. So it's the Nat Turner
guy.
slave rebellion. Nate Parker is the guy who's maybe a rapist. Who knows? But yeah, it's the sort of a biopic of Nat Turner leading up to those events, and ends with like their rebellion, which much like Star Wars Rogue One, is a doomed rebellion from like a doomed like mission to begin with. They all get caught and get killed, but not before killing a bunch of fucking shitty slave owners, which is always a fun time. And like the thing that really fucking sold me was like the last shot of this movie where it's a little kid watching them get hung in the crowd, like a slave kid watching them get hung, and it goes in on his face and it pulls back and he's aged and he's like waving the flag in a battle of the Civil War, like with the American flag. Like that's the moment that sold this movie for me. I think it's great. But let's talk about the other thing that I think sort of fills some of the same stuff as being like a very like issue-focused movie about black people. It's very different in a lot of ways, but David, Moonlight. Tell me about Moonlight.
Yeah, I wish I had gotten around to seeing this movie again because it's I know I fell in love with it and stuff, but just it's won a Golden Globe for Best Drama. It's nominated for Best Picture, which I'm really happy with. It's a beautiful movie. It's a small movie. It tells one specific story about one kid uh, in three different stages of his life with like a cast of a core cast of like six different actors play two characters over three stages of their life, and they all flow into each other really good. Like the performances are amazing, and it's just a love story about a a kid coming to terms with his sexuality, with his masculinity, and like how how he lives in the environment that he's in, and it's I wish I had more to say. Like it's got the most beautiful and touching like hand job in a movie probably ever.
I really wanted to see this movie. The trailer looked great. I'm going to see it at some point, but
Yeah,
sounds great.
it's
Can't
got
wait to see it.
Cottonmouth in it.
Yeah.
Cottonmouth's up for best supporting actor. It's kind of I'm a little disappointed none of the actors got none of the three guys. I guess you'd nominate the full grown adult guy playing the main guy, but that should have maybe gotten a best acting nod. But yeah, it's just it's a small movie, but it's that thing like the director when he was had won the Golden Globe. I don't know if it was a speech on stage or if it was a speech like to the press when everyone's taking pictures like backstage or whatever. But he said like he said that thing that's totally true, that the best way to tell a universal truth is to tell a specific story. And this is a specific story that like whether you look like or oriented like the main character doesn't matter, because you will empathize with it. You will fall in love with the story that's being told, and it's great. It's deserves the accolades it's getting.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one. I have seen Birth of a Nation. I think you're in the exact opposite situation with me as that. I think Birth of a Nation is a very important movie for right now for the same reasons Rogue One was a very important movie. But I think that from everything you've said about Moonlight, it might be the better, maybe even slightly more prescient of the two. So if you feel strongly about Moonlight being on this list, I will cut Birth of a Nation right now.
Well, also the director didn't allegedly rape anybody.
That's also true. I'm trying not to bring that into it because this should be about the art, not the
Moonlight
artist.
is incredible.
That's what kind of destroyed Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, it
like,
destroyed it
awards
everywhere
chances.
else. Yeah.
And not Casey Affleck's though.
Yeah, nice double standard there, Hollywood. Like, at the very least, like, Nate Parker was tried and acquitted for his rape charges. Casey Affleck, as far as I know, never fucking stood trial for his. So, like, I'd be more willing to give it to, even taking that into account, to give it to Parker than I would Affleck. But I think, like, from everything you've said about Moonlight, it seems like, because it not only deals with, like, race stuff, it's also, like, sexuality.
Yeah,
which I think is a
sexuality. Like, yeah, I mean, one of the things, and I think part of the reason that Mahershala Ali has his nomination and is being talked about so much is because he's got like a really important scenes as the mentor figure to his kid when he's a child, and there's that really powerful scene where he like talks to this guy that he looks up to, and he's like asking him what a faggot is, and he says like a faggot is a word people use to make gay people feel bad about themselves, and he asks am I a faggot? And it's just like, it's really like, it's sad like identity stuff that is really like, it's not in a lot of movies, and especially in the context of it being a black movie, like it's something that's not really explored at all. And I think it's one of those things everybody's got to see, because it's telling that specific story to get to universal truths.
Yeah, I think from everything you've said, I think this movie should probably be on the list. like not
Yeah.
just not
I've-
cut, but I
I've
think
heard
it
it's
should be on the
amazing.
list.
I've heard it's really good.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna highlight Moonlight as being official. I'm gonna cut Birth of a Nation here. I have one more here that I think don't think is going to hang with the rest of the competition before we get into the fights. It's one that I hate saying it about, but like The Nice Guys. I love The Nice Guys. It's a great Shane Black movie. It's a great like buddy movie. It's got some great performances. It's shot fantastically. It's really well written.
Yeah, the script is super tight. I've seen it more than any other movie this year. Like I've seen it.
I was gonna
two
say I
and
thought
a
this
half
was a
to
shoe-in
3 times.
for the list of 3, but I guess Moonlight, from what I've heard, it's like a lot of people say it's like their favorite movie of the year. So I don't know. Because I haven't
Yeah.
seen Moonlight, I feel like I can't
Mhm.
say that I can cut it over Nice Guys.
Yeah,
Nice Guys
I
is so
think
fucking
Nice
solid.
Guys. It's really
Nice Guys-
solid, but like
And it's got.
I'm
something
looking at the
super
other
tight.
movies on this list. Let me just run down this really quick. Like what we have left is 10 Cloverfield Lane, Neon Demon, Swiss Army Man, Moonlight, and Christine. And like Nice Guys just looks like the one that does not fit on that list to me.
I forgot about
Yeah.
Christine. I need
Yeah.
to stop
I
forgetting
wonder if
about
that's because
Christine.
you know.
Yeah, because
I think
that
that should be on the list.
We'll get to that right now. Like let's just go over why Nice Guys is great. David, continue.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it should be discounted because it's a comedy. Comedy films are great. It's fucking hilarious. Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe are an amazing match. They're an amazing, like, iconic duo doing comedy together. Ryan Gosling is at the top of his game, doing some really, really hilarious shit that has been compared to like Abbott and Costello stuff. The script is super tight. The direction is really, really excellent. The story is in there, also somewhat related to the day. Like this is one of the movies from this year that I think will stand the test of time and will still be talked about in a couple of years, especially because like not a lot of people saw it. So I think it'll have a resurgence of people finally discovering it. But it deals with, it's set in 1977, and a big thing about, the plot is that, automakers are trying to suppress a thing, and like it is about corporatism persuading government to overlook safety things in terms of saving a little bit of money. And there's mention about how the air is dying, how there are killer bees out, and how the world is fucked up, and like the lesson kind of at the end of the day, the lesson is amazing. It's kind of just like they didn't fix everything, they didn't solve everything, they only did a little bit of what they could. They just made a little bit of change, and maybe that's worth it. Maybe it's just doing what you can, trying to affect a little bit, and being a nice guy, just doing what you can every day, and it's like that's like a practical thing that like we are, 1977, there are a lot of jokes in the movie about how good the future is going to be, obviously because it was written today, or actually it was written like 10 years ago or something originally. It's got a bunch of jokes about the future, and looking forward to it, but we are, even though it was, 1977 was modern day to 1977, today is modern day to right now, we're still in this shitty situation. The world's still ending. Shit seems insurmountable, but if you can just get out of bed, and if you can get out of the tub, dry your clothes off, and do something nice and affect things a little bit, that's good enough. So I want to say it's thematically relevant, and give it
I agree. I just think that some of these other movies are. I just don't think it hangs. Like it's one of those things. Like another year. Like if this had come out last year, even I think it would have been on this list. But I don't think it makes it unless like anybody else like wants to fight for it.
I just know that you're gonna make a.
I'm right there with you, and I think there are some stronger candidates on this list.
That's it. It would. Yeah, let's just go ahead and cut it. It's great though.
Yeah. All right. Jesus. All of we are down to 5 here, and all of these movies are great. Fuck. Let's talk about 10 Cloverfield Lane, I guess. Because looking at the other ones, I think that's probably the most likely to get cut next. I love this movie. I love John Goodman's performance in it. It's such a fucking well-constructed movie. It's tense. It's scary. The ending is on a whole fucking other level. Like, it's one of the best twist endings I've seen in years and years and years. It's very well written. It's just, this movie fucking came out of nowhere. It was the exact opposite of the original Cloverfield, where like there was a trailer and then it was out the next month. Like, so like the cycle leading up to it was great, but I don't think it hangs quite with these other ones. And we've already sort of like, John Goodman is the best part of this movie, and we've already sort of given him props before.
Yeah.
That's a shitty argument against it, but like,
Well, yeah,
it's, I don't think like, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's talk about why it's great, because I watched it recently as well, and it's a tight fucking script, and it's an amazing. Was this directed by the guy who did the Portal short film? That's that
Yes.
guy? Yeah, so this is like his first feature film, I think, and it's pretty amazing. It's a suspense thriller that, I mean, okay, so a lot I remember coming out of it, didn't like the ending, or thought that projected that the ending was maybe added when J.J. Abrams picked it up and decided to make it a Cloverfield movie.
But no.
In reality, I think the only things they added to it when they decided to turn it into a Cloverfield movie and make Cloverfield kind of a name synonymous with sci-fi, indie, super, I don't know, above indie level thriller movies or anthology or whatever. I think all they did was just add a shot where, as Mary Elizabeth is driving away, she hits a mailbox and it says 10 Cloverfield Lane.
And you see the Slusho Zoom.
You see the Slusho thing at the gas station. Like, that's kind of it. Like, everything else, like the alien stuff was there from the beginning, and it's because you need it there. Like, I was talking with my friend I saw it with when we watched it again. The ending where she comes out and she discovers that she can breathe the air. Like, there's a whole thing with her suit that she's built underground, this hazmat suit, that it gets a tear in it, and she's like, oh, fuck, and she wraps it up in duct tape. And then, like, something happens where she, like, stops, and she, you know, you can kind of, the soundtrack goes away and you hear, like, bugs everywhere. And she just takes off her helmet and like, you know, you can breathe. Like, there are birds and stuff, and she can breathe. So, like, part of the tension of this movie is John Goodman really, is the world really ended? Has the world really ended, and is John Goodman, like, definitely keeping them safe from something? Or did he run her off the road because he was in a panic, or did he run her off the road because he tried to kidnap her? And that's like kind of the thing that the movie bounces back and forth on. It changes your perspective on that, because you're like, oh, he definitely is kidnapping her. He's probably lying about this stuff.
All of the above is the answer.
Yeah, it's all of the above. He is a doomsday prepper, and he is a kidnap rapist guy, and like the air is breathable, but like some shit did go down. Like, it's like, you think watching it, you think the question is he wrong or is he right? And like, is the world ended? Is he keeping her safe? Is he lying about that? Whatever. Both things being true is the perfect reveal to the end of the movie, because like, it's like, oh, he was just lying about that. The world's fine. She gets up on the top of the car because she's a helicopter. It's an alien spacecraft. So like, the fact that he was right, and like he said, like, it could be the Russians, it could be aliens, whatever. Like, the alien stuff, you know.
Yeah, you write that off as him just being a weird fucking crazy guy. Like,
yeah, and even he kind of says it in kind of a, like, that's like the least plausible of the situations. But the fact that it's that, and that he was completely right about that throwaway idea, is so fucking brilliant. And also just the whole ending of it too, like, it's a movie that has its cake and eats it too, because you get that you get the tense suspense shit, but then you'll also get some tense alien action shit, and like, she throws the bottle in there, like, everything's set up and paid off brilliantly, and she throws the Molotov cocktail into this alien spacecraft biomechanical creature's mouth, blows it up, gets in the other car, and drives off to a crossroads where she could either go to the safe haven, or go to where they're enlisting people for medical purposes, which she has proven her tact at or to fight or whatever, because the aliens have invaded, and she decides to go to Houston or wherever to help to give her support, because like at the beginning of the movie she's kind of running away from her marriage or her engagement or whatever, and she's running away from her life, and she doesn't really know what her direction is. And throughout the movie she's like, she has a story that she talks about where she saw like a dad, like, you know, abusing a kid in public, basically just like hurting her or hitting her or something, or yanking her arm too much. And it's like, I wanted to step in and say something, I wanted to do something, but I just didn't. And so there's that is all paid off in this big action climax. So that stuff, the idea that stuff was added, the alien shit was added after the fact in the script phase, is complete bullshit. It's perfect. It has its cake and eats it too. It's a tone shift or a genre shift that works better than like Sunshine becoming a slasher movie in the third act. It's fucking thematically sound. Her arc is totally complete. If it didn't have that ending, if she just got out and found out that the world was fine, it'd be a shitty ending.
Yeah, it would still been fine. It's still been okay.
It would have. I don't think it would have made this list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would not have been nominated if that hadn't happened.
She comes out and it's fine. Then it's like, okay, do you continue driving away from your husband, who's apparently Bradley Cooper, or do you go back to him? Like that's like not as interesting. This is thematically, and it raises the stakes, and it's it's brilliant.
And this guy's
brilliant ending.
This director, like, he's like extremely talented. I've been watching before he was even a director, I've watched his podcast, which is him and two other guys talking games and movies and stuff. And I've always like thought he was really cool. If you guys like this movie, you have to watch his Black Mirror episode. Playtest.
Yeah, I will eventually do that.
Playtest is one of the best Black Mirror episodes. It's so fun. It's such a fun.
This guy's apparently doing a movie about Harry Houdini now, so I'm down for that.
He's really smart, and like if you listen to how he talks and how he like critiques movies and stuff, you get a sense that he really knows like what makes movies good and like what's special about them. Like he gets to the heart of like what makes a scene great that most people may not see, and he's got an eye for that thing. And like I think it's odd, like when he made this movie, it's like, well, of course, like this guy who like loves movies this much, this is what he came out with, and it's great. I'm so glad it was a good movie. You know?
Yeah, he brings it. It's technically proficient. It's technically amazing. The shots are amazing.
He was also the guy that was supposed to do that Why the Last Man adaptation, which I have no doubt that if he had actually got to make that, it would have been incredible.
Yeah, I feel like this guy's going places, but I don't think this movie hangs on the list. I have a feeling I know what two of these movies are going to be, and then the third one is going to be a fight, and I think like out of the other two that it's going to be a fight over, I don't think this one's going to hang.
Well,
let's talk. Here's the other one I think. We already have Moonlight. Moonlight's got to be on this list. The other one, from what I'm hearing here, and I agree with, Christine has to be on this list.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick. This is the true story of the anchorwoman, small town anchorwoman Christine Chubbuck in the 1970s. I want to say 79, maybe earlier than that. 70.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was around then. It was the 70s. I'm gonna look this up.
73, maybe.
I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna bother me if I don't. 74. She was a anchor in a small town in Florida, in Sarasota specifically. She was basically she did like features, like she did like things about like zoning. Like their big thing in the movie is like this zoning scandal, like about like, oh, like should they rezone this area, like this small sort of like community focused stuff, or like stuff like, oh, it's the pumpkin festival or whatever that was.
The opposite of sensationalist journalism.
Yeah, she's like a very much like a very small, personal, community-focused journalism, not sensational at all. And she was being pushed because, as was the trend, to do more sensational. Like if it bleeds, it leads.
This movie has a lot of similarities to Nightcrawler in a lot of ways.
Yes, it's the reverse Nightcrawler. It's the anti-Nightcrawler because Jake Gyllenhaal in that is a character like, oh, that's what sells. That's what'll get me ahead in this, and then just does like the
He-
most horrible
But
shit.
he's
Yeah.
also
he
he's-
gravitates towards it. He loves it.
yeah, he loves
Yeah.
that shit. Well, Christine was like,
Gyllenhaal is
Also,
evil.
Christine, the actual story, like the actual true story of Christine, is what inspired Network, the movie
Mhm.
Network.
So finish
So-
the explanation, Gabe, of what this movie's about. She's a Incan
Yeah.
who's tells.
yeah, so she's being pushed for this. She tries to do it, but she's just not very good at that style of thing. And she's also got like some personal issues going around. It's very clear she's like either depressed or possibly manic depressive, like
Got some
bipolar.
mental illness for sure.
She's got some sort of untreated mental illness. Like she had previously had a breakdown in a larger city, and like that's why she moved out here with her mom. And like her mom doesn't seem to know how to like reach her. It's like very sad. And like at one point she gets a hold of like she does a story about like this gun shop, and fucking goes out, buys a gun, and live on air when like what was supposed to be like her fucking lead story like gets pushed because they can't get the tape or whatever. Like it's like it doesn't work. She pulls out her fucking gun and
Here's a
Shoots herself in the neck,
WNTV
or back of the
first
neck.
or whatever. It was.
yeah, I could read the exact statement
It's
she
a
gave.
chilling scene. It's absolutely chilling.
Mhm.
And I mean, I saw it coming. I'm like, oh my god, something awful is about to happen here. And I remember like just the air went out of the room. And I didn't. I mean, I guess I kind of figured halfway through this movie was based on a true story, but I didn't know anything about this story. And I thought, I mean,
Yeah, here's the statement she made. In keeping with Channel 40's policy of bringing you the latest in blood and guts and in living color, you are going to see another first. Attempted suicide. Then she pulled out a gun, put it behind her ear, and shot herself live on the air on the 5 o'clock news. Like, and I think, like, first off, this movie is amazingly made. Like, everything about it, like, David, you watched this with us. I knew the story of Christine Chubbuck going into it. Grant, you didn't know like what happened with her either going in, did you?
right? I didn't know
Did you
anything
go
about
in
this.
blind? Yeah, so you and David both went in blind. Like, David, I know, like called it like as the scene was about to start. Like, oh shit,
So did
she's gonna
I.
Bud Dwyer herself.
I thought she
And I
might
was like,
kill
technically,
somebody.
Bud,
Though. I thought she was going to
technically Bud
shoot.
Dwyer, Christine Chubbuck himself.
I thought she was honestly. I thought she was going to shoot Dexter. What's his name?
Yeah.
Michael C. Hall.
Michael C. Hall. I thought she was going to shoot
Yeah.
him, and then I'm like, oh god, she's going to shoot herself. Like, so she's going to do something awful. Is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I kind of wish that the movie hadn't had that shot where we see that she has the gun in her handbag and she puts it into the puppet, like that. I think that shot doesn't add anything, and it sullies the surprise because I think
The one thing
if it
I
wasn't
think
there, I don't think I would have caught on to it as immediately. But
Yeah,
like,
the
once that was there was like, oh, I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, the one thing I do like about the puppet shot is it brings in like this other aspect of her personality I'd even mentioned. Like,
Yeah.
she is a legitimate good person. Like, she spends her spare time like volunteering at a children's hospital, giving like puppet shows about like different like issues, and like she puts as much time into that as she does her job. It seems
Yeah.
like writing them and like making sure these are like as good as can be for the kids. The last one we see her do, like, which is like definitely about like loneliness and depression and like not talking. Like, I think it's really interesting just in that scene that like we never get a reverse shot of the kids.
Mhm.
So I kind of wonder if that even is really happening or if that's just like
Yeah. And then
in
there's
her
that,
fucking head, like
that
this-
scene,
Or she's doing
struggle
it for
she's
herself.
having. Yeah, she's doing it for herself.
and
Yeah.
there's that
I-
scene
okay.
where she has to go to that guy drags her unknowingly to that whatever it is pep.
Yeah, that weird self-help
and
thing.
she has to she
Yeah,
does the
that's what it was too.
the yeah but thing that
Yeah.
part was like amazing. Just
Yeah, like fucking
her-
just cringing at like this fucking other woman, like just not getting it. Like
yeah.
her problems are not problems that can be solved with
With-
fucking like going to the root of the problem, because she has, like, you get the feeling watching that, like, she has had this exact same train of thought with herself a million times before and knows where it ends.
There is
like,
no,
nowhere.
That's not her problem.
there is no
Yeah.
positive
So
like
these people don't get. They think it's all like, oh, just think it through, blah blah blah, pray about it, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
and it's not what
And
fixes it.
this performance. What's this woman's name? This actress. What's her name? Anybody know? I've seen her in like the
I'll look it up
Town.
real quick.
She's been in a
Oh,
couple of
it's,
things, but like
it's yeah, she was in Iron Man 3.
yeah, she was in the Town.
Rebecca Hall. Rebecca
like,
Hall.
Holy
Yeah.
shit! What a performance! Like this.
If we had seen this movie before our Best Actress things, I still would have fought hard for Abby Lee, but I don't think Amy Adams would have made it onto the.
I would
Federal
make the
list.
argument that this would be the winner. I really would.
Yeah, I think it would have been a much bigger fight than we had.
Because this performance was so strange. Like she's so weird, like, but honest at the same time. Like she's like incredibly socially awkward. It just the way she like committed to this performance, like how she talks.
Yeah,
how
she's
she
even doing like
carries
the
her
voice, like
shoulders. She kind of slouches and she's kind of gangly. And this actress, she's like really pretty when she's like not.
yeah, she's like she was. I didn't even recognize her from Iron Man 3 because she's like beautiful in Iron Man 3. Like
Mhm.
she's like beautiful and confident in that movie. Like
Oh, Andy got dropped out of the call. Do you want to get him back in?
yeah, I will re-invite him.
Yeah. This movie just blew me away, honestly, and I went in not knowing anything about it, and I kind of like ended thinking like, wow.
I was, I mean, okay, so I might need to watch this movie again because I knew that the ending was going to be something big and wow or whatever, and like I was told, Gabe made it explicit to not like look into it or anything.
Yeah, I was like, do not
Um,
look up this movie. Don't look up Christine Chubbuck. Like,
Yeah,
avoid
so
it.
for some reason though, watching it though, I was like really fucking on edge the whole time. I was like very unnerved and like uncomfortable.
Knowing
watching
that
it. So I might need to
something
watch it
she
again.
did made the news in a big way, that would be kind of
Yeah.
ominous. Knowing that going
Mhm.
in, if I didn't know
But
anything, like,
yeah, okay. So I think there is going back to that shot that I don't like. While I think if I was in the edit room, I would have cut it. There is some thematic stuff to it, or the fact that she puts it into the puppet. There is that is symbolic. There's some shit going on visually there.
I
So,
agree. I think
that's
there's
good,
probably a
but-
different way you could have done that. What I would have maybe
yeah.
done instead of the gun into the puppet at the end, and maybe just show blood getting onto the puppet from afterwards. Like that
Well,
would have had
maybe-
sort of the same effect.
Cut the shot of her showing us that yes, she has a gun, and then putting it into the puppet, putting it in her bag. Cut that whole scene. When she gets on the news, when she pulls out the gun, she pulls out the puppet.
Yeah,
And then it's
yeah.
like,
that
oh, what's
would-
she gonna do? A puppet show or something? That's what you think, and then she pulls out the gun.
Yeah,
That's how you do it. That would have been, and then it's
Yep.
so surprising, but you got that reasonable misdirect with thinking that she's gonna do a puppet show. And then pulls out the gun. That's how I would have done it, and that's why I don't think it wins this category. Because
anyway,
it's a very easy way to fix something.
Yeah.
With it.
Anyway, I think this movie makes the list, and I think it's also like another, talking of prescience again, it's one of those movies that, like, this is the beginning. Like, we are watching, like, this, like, the mood of the news in this.
It's
and
what led
she
to
does
what just happened.
Is what has led to alternative facts and fake news.
Yeah,
Like, it's the start of it. Like,
this
it's
is
all
kind of,
fucking downhill from here.
you know,
Yeah.
and this is why mainstream media does have some culpability, because even though they haven't been doing fake news really, they've been doing sensationalism, and they've
Mhm.
conditioned people into a way that they will disbelieve stuff that shouldn't be disbelieved. They've made everybody cynical.
Hmm.
Yeah, asking the viewers, what do you think? You decide. Like, that's stupid bullshit. And yeah, so this is the origin story that then leads to, I mean, it inspired Network, so it leads to Network, and that leads to Nightcrawler, which is an examination of what it's like at the local news level today. So I think, you know, it's an important piece of art, and it captures and chronicles and contextualizes a symptom of the problem with the society.
Yep. And that's why I think it makes this list. Here's what's going to be the fight. Moonlight and Christine are both locks. Here's the fight. It's either has to be Neon Demon or it has to be Swiss Army Man. I'll give my opening statements on Neon Demon, I guess. This is Nicholas Winding Refn doing like a very stylish film. It's maybe, I don't think it's like quite as important as the other two on this list, but it's a very good look into this very sort of niche world of modeling. It's stylistically one of the most well put together films I've ever seen. I don't think I would change a single frame of this movie. I don't think anything would make it better. I think the music is great. I think the performances are great. I think it's succeeding at what he sort of attempted to do with his previous movie, Only God Forgives, which is this sort of like melding of sort of like the art house genres with this sort of like film, like cinematic brutalism is the only thing I could know how to call it. Like this sort of like ultra violent, fucking disturbing, like everyone's a piece of shit, like sort of style that he does. It's not quite as commercial as Drive was, but it's much more commercial than Only God Forgives, and it sort of like works. It's an actual movie, unlike Only God Forgives. Like there is a plot and characters. I think everything about it is masterfully done. It's probably my favorite movie of the year. And like once again, that sort of like, here's another thing that somebody just ripped out of my head. I have the soundtrack on vinyl. I have this vinyl of like the stuff that like inspired the movie that he listened to while writing the script, pre-ordered. It's like as close to a perfect film this year as I can think of, in my opinion. David, give your statements about Swiss Army Man.
I own the soundtrack on vinyl.
That's how you know it's a winner.
Let me just
Well, whose vinyl is better? Whose vinyl is better?
Mine, clearly. It's colored and has some cool shit.
I bought my vinyl comes with like paper cutouts of like things from the movie and shit. So you can
All
Who
right.
looks better in a
There's the
fedora?
winner.
Okay, so no, I bought the vinyl for this. I don't even own a record player, partly because I also got a MP3 download of the soundtrack by doing that. But I'm gonna open with that just because there was a point Gabe raised.
Yep.
So yeah, this is probably my favorite movie of the year, particularly because the Oscars did not do a shit with it.
Counterpoint: the Oscars aren't gonna give shit to Neon Demon as well.
That's true.
Or any of these movies.
I bet Christine and Moonlight at least will get
Moonlight.
nominated.
Moonlight's worth it, yo. Moonlight,
Yeah.
Moonlight, like backs that ass up. So yeah, Swiss Army Man is probably my favorite movie of the year. I saw it just the other night for the third time. It is also by first-time feature film directors, the Daniels or Daniels as they go by. It's the two guys who directed the "Turn Down for What" music video, which I haven't seen, but apparently is fucking bonkers.
That music video is crazy. Like you should watch that music video.
I should watch it. So
if we were doing this podcast the year that came out, it would have won Best Videos.
Yeah, we should go back and we should just do awards for 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's a movie that, I mean, they pitched the movie as like the first fart will make you laugh and the last fart will make you cry. On set, Paul Dano or one of the directors came up to Paul Dano and was like, I hate fart jokes, I hate Cotton Eye Joe, and there was like a third thing that they hate, and it was like, why are you making a movie that has all those things in it? It's like, if we're making a movie with stuff that we hate in it, we're going to make the best possible version of that. So they really are challenging themselves and pushing their own limits as they're making this movie that really kind of pushes the envelope of, okay, so the first thing I heard about this movie was the headline, Sundance. Audience members walk out, or no, it was Cannes. I think it was Cannes. It might not have been Sundance. It was either Sundance or Cannes, and it was audience people walk out of Daniel Radcliffe farting corpse movie. That's when I knew this movie was good. And I watched it, and it is great. It is fantastic. Paul Dano's going to kill himself on this island. He's going to hang himself, and then he discovers Daniel Radcliffe, and he's like, oh shit, another person. And then he accidentally trips the thing under him, and he almost dies, but then the rope snaps. And he goes over, and turns out that it is just a corpse. But then the corpse starts to fart, and farts so much that it kind of propels itself in the water on the shore. And he grabs his belt and he grabs the rope and jumps on the corpse, and like uses him like a jet ski to get to land. And then and then as he discovers that this corpse can do things that help him survive, it's this kind of magical discovery of that. And then he assumes that he's bringing this corpse Manny back to life through love, because at one point the corpse starts to talk, and then he freaks out, but then he comes back, and it's kind of like a Calvin and Hobbes thing, where you don't really like it. The movie's not asking you to guess whether or not it's happening in his head or not. Like, the movie's presenting you as this is happening. And so what follows is like a montage of Paul Dano explaining life to Manny, because he's got so many questions, and he starts doing it with like creating arts and crafts stuff out of trash to explain what life is like, and how like these are people, and this is what you look like when you're happy, and this is like everybody poops, and this is they turn the Bible into everything poops with like drawing shit on the pages and stuff, and they talk about it. So I think it's an important, like, of the last 3 years have had 3 movies in each of them that I think are essential viewing to any human being. It's the Lego Movie, it's Ex Machina, and it's Swiss Army Man. Swiss Army Man has this amazing conceit where it allows you to see life explained to someone who has like the brain of a newborn essentially, and through the contextualization of life from this guy who's super fucking lonely and wants to end his life, it makes you realize the beauty of life again. And there's like there's this picture of this girl, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, again, on the phone that they have, and Manny sees this and falls in love with her, and it's like this girl that Paul Dano saw on the bus, and so like they're both kind of in love with this girl, and that leads to a whole section where they're exploring and explaining love. Like, they build this ragtag arts and crafts like bus model, and then they go through the process of like Hank dresses up like the girl, puts on a wig, and like sits down on the bus, and and it's just this beautiful thing where Manny's like, I want to talk to her, but I can't talk to her because what if she doesn't want to talk to me? And it explores life in this fucking bizarre context, but it just connects you to the world.
It's so charming, the movie. Like, that's the best thing about it. It's so charming.
Yes, it's absolutely charming, and the music is goddamn
I'm definitely
gorgeous.
gonna see this movie.
Yeah, it's another one. Like, I think we're in a. Wait, first off, Grant, have you seen Neon Demon? You saw that, right?
Yeah, it didn't resonate with me nearly as much as you guys.
Yeah, we've got a thing here. What I think is going to happen here is we basically have a stalemate on this, because I think it's going to be me and Andy going for Neon Demon, and then you and David, Grant and David, going for Swiss Army Man.
Is Moonlight so good that it has to be on this list over these 3?
From everything David has said, I think Moonlight should be on here. Like,
it deserves the awards it's getting. I am inclined to say that we don't need to include it on our list.
Because this one will get Oscars.
It won the Golden Globe for Best Picture Drama, or what?
Yeah.
It's like comedy and musical, and then drama and horror, mystery. I don't know. There's no second category. It's just drama and then comedy and musical.
If that will avoid our friendships all being destroyed fighting over Neon Demon versus Swiss Army Man, and you are okay with cutting it, and you being okay with cutting it, David, I would cut Moonlight, and I think the list would be Neon Demon and Swiss Army Man as runners-up, and Christine as the winner.
I'm down with that.
Yeah,
I can go with that.
I mean, it sounds weird, but I think just as arbiters of we're a different corner of the internet than the whole movie press and as mainstream, and the Oscar nominations have just come out, and Moonlight and La La Land are the 2 favorites, and Moonlight definitely deserves. I haven't seen La La Land yet. I hear it's fucking great, but like I just am not interested in it, even though I will definitely see it. Moonlight deserves everything it's getting. It's a fucking brilliant and beautiful film that's just so touching, and it's so universal, being so specific. But I think that we have the ability to curate a top 3 that are movies that are not being recognized, that should be recognized. And I think
it's our list. We can do what we want with our list. And it seems to me like these 3 movies are the ones that resonated the most with the 4 of us.
Yeah, like Moonlight is definitely one of the best movies.
And maybe if more of us had seen Moonlight, we could chime in on it. But we've all seen.
I do want to see it,
Neon Demon.
I do want to see it again before I really have a concrete opinion on it, other than just spouting about how good it really is. But like Swiss Army Man, I mean, I've seen it probably like 1/2 a time more than Nice Guys now. Swiss Army Man is like my top movie of the year.
Yeah. If I do a top 5 of like movies, I'm gonna do one for games. It'll probably go up sometime this week. I just gotta write it out. But like Neon Demon would be right at the top of my list as far as that goes.
And I agree. Neon Demon is so fucking cool. It's we talked about it multiple times here, but that time that we cracked the ambiguity, like you cracked the ambiguity as one of the themes of the movie, like. Something I thought about Neon Demon is like it kind of pairs with like The Wrestler and Black Swan in a way, but it's not Aronofsky. It's like the Refn version of those movies. For the modeling industry. But yeah, like what you cracked about the ambiguity of being the main theme, because we had talked about, are they vampires, are they not vampires, is there anything supernatural to this, what the fuck is that scene with the moonlight in it, and the fucking all that blood coming out of the hoo-ha.
And then like the thing I brought up, like for anybody who hadn't listened to that episode, was like there's the scene where you hear the person in the other room, like room, what the fuck's the room number?
214,
gotta be seen, like getting like brutally raped. Like that's what you can assume is going on through that. Like somebody tries to enter her room and goes there. And the movie clearly, because this follows a dream sequence of like her dreaming about Keanu Reeves coming into her room and like shoving a knife down her throat, and like basically like making her blow, like mouth raping her with a knife. Basically. So you are led to believe that, like, clearly it's Keanu, but you never see who it is, and the other character who knows about that room and what's in there and is upset with her, and wants to fuck her, is her boyfriend, who up to this point in the movie had been, like, a solid bro, like a good dude. But, like, the other person you think is a good dude in the scene immediately after, Ruby, ends up being, like, a necrophiliac possible vampire. Like, so is it Keanu? Is it the other guy? Like, we don't know, and we'll never know. If I ever corner Nicholas Winding Refn in an elevator, I will ask him, and he will not tell me because I'm sure it's intentional. I'm sure of it. He won't fucking say.
But it's like a brilliantly conceived movie, and I think it's on that level with Swiss Army Man. They're playing totally different instruments, but they're both so fine-tuned to what they're doing. Like Swiss Army Man shouldn't work like on paper, is something that a lot of people have said, and it and it sucks that I'm the only person who's seen this so far, but
I've seen Swiss Army Man.
Oh, you've seen it, yeah. So like it just fucking works. It's this magical, joyful, like it goes through all the emotions on the human spectrum. It talks about those emotions. Like there's a scene where they're climbing across like a pipe thing over a river, and Daniel Radcliffe keeps talking. Manny keeps talking about stuff. He's like, I'm feeling weird because you're not telling me something, and there's something you want to tell me, but you're not saying it. It's like, so that makes me feel weird. And has anyone felt this way before? And Hank is like kind of tired of Manny at this point a little bit, or he's like trying to focus on not falling off of this thing, and he just goes like, no, you're probably the first person ever to feel that way. And it's just like the way that it just gets inside the human psyche in a very interesting way, and it does some fucking insane shit. And it also, the movie is built in to it this a reason to watch the movie. Like they talk about the fact that nobody else understands what they were doing in the woods. Nobody understands them as they have come to understand each other through talking about things like why people don't fart in front of other people, or how what the concept of weird is. Like Hank can't masturbate because it makes him think about his mom for a reason I don't need to get into, but like Manny's like, okay, well, if anytime I masturbate, I'll think about your mom too, and then it won't be weird because you're not the only person who does it. and it just like, I truly believe that if it's like, I think I read in some review that it's a movie that's not for everyone, but everyone should see it, because if you see it, you'll have a heightened understanding of the world. And I think like if everybody saw it, we'd be better to each other. And they make a point of that towards the end of the movie, when other people come into the woods and they stumble across like the bus or the replica of a restaurant from this girl Sarah's Instagram pictures, and they're like, what the fuck is this is weird. Or like Hank's dad finds a figure made out of wood and whatever that just looks kind of like his dad, and it's this weird stuff that like makes it looks creepy, but because we were there with them, we understand it. So it's got this meta narrative device about, if you watch the movie, you would understand why this isn't weird. It's beautiful, whatever. So, like, yeah, it's
the opposite of Neon Demon, because Swiss Army Man is like weird, creepy shit that when you know the context is actually beautiful, and Neon Demon is beautiful shit that when you know the context is actually all fucking horrific and terrible.
Yeah, I saw this movie sitting next to like some grown-ups, and like one of the things I heard from like this.
I like that you're like in your 20s and you're still like grown-ups. I still think that exact same way, and I'm 30, so.
Yeah, that's the economy for you.
Yep.
But yeah, some middle-aged woman is like, well, that's 2 hours of my life I'm not getting back. Just because I knew that there's some fucked up shit in it, I was really excited to see what some normal people, because it's not.
I had walkouts. I had like quiet walkouts in my Neon Demon showing, but nothing. Yeah. Nobody like vocally upset, which kind of bummed me out. I was looking forward to that. I should have gone to an earlier show.
Yeah, I got like a free advanced screening thing at the Icon. So it's kind of not the same thing as Spring Breakers, which was marketed as a teen summer beach movie and then turned out to be an art house movie with some crazy shit in it. But it was like, here's this artistic film that's, whoa, crazy, beautiful and dramatic or whatever. And then also like this girl finger bangs and then fucks a corpse, and like they kill and eat the main girl, and then like one of the characters wins by doing that.
Yeah, like it works. Like,
yeah.
After like the other girl fucking stabs herself in the throat, in the stomach, and then like after vomiting up an eye, and the girl who wins eats the eye.
Yeah, and it's like really on the nose commentary about like the modeling industry and fame and Hollywood and like that lifestyle in general, but it fucking works. Like the style raises that substance above like eye-rolly metaphors and visuals and stuff, because it fucking works.
Yep. All right, let's just run over these one more time. Best movie, Christine. Not even any. But if we had not seen this movie last week, this list would have been different. Yeah. This list would have been very different. Like this sort of came out of left field and surprised us all. But best movie, Christine. There was no debate over it. Like that's how great this movie is. Runners-up, Neon Demon and Swiss Army Man. Best New Show, American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson. Runners-up, Stranger Things and Atlanta. And Best Game, Doom. Runners-up, Uncharted 4 and Watch Dogs 2. And just for funsies, let's go over the rest of our winners, because this is the last one. Best Trailer was Death Stranding. Runners-up, Logan and Uncharted 4. What the Fuck Happened? Loser was No Man's Sky. Runners-up, Street Fighter V and Suicide Squad. Best Actor, John Goodman in 10 Cloverfield Lane. Runners-up, Keanu Reeves in Neon Demon. Daniel Radcliffe in Swiss Army Man. Best Actress, Abby Lee in Neon Demon. Runners-up, Sarah Paulson in American Crime Story and Amy Adams in Arrival. With honorable mention to the girl who played Christine, whose names I already...
Rebecca Hall.
Rebecca Hall, yeah. honorable mention there. Best character, Black Obergruppenführer John Smith in The Man in the High Castle. Runners-up, Black Phillip in The Witch.
Yeah.
The Doomslayer in Doom. Best music video, Sentient by Perturbator. Runners-up, Shelter by Porter Robinson and Turbo Killer by Carpenter Brute. Best use of licensed music, Sabotage by the Beastie Boys in Star Trek Beyond. Runners-up, X Gon' Give It To Ya by DMX and Deadpool, and Time of the Preacher by Willie Nelson and Preacher. And Best Original Music, Mick Gordon for Doom. Runners-up, Cliff Martinez for The Neon Demon, Andy Hull and Robert McDowell for Swiss Army Man. And that is going to do it. We will be back next time in our normal format. Next week, just by the way, either it's going to be another one without me because I am going to be otherwise occupied, or we might just take a week off after all this because this was a lot of fucking long episodes.
We got to do a Resident Evil
These
blowout.
posts are.
We could do that the week after. We could come back with our
The
Resident
Resident Evil
Evil
7 ain't
blowout.
going to be fresh at all by that point.
Andy will have beaten it by then, hopefully, and we'll all. So
Seen the
me and
new
David will have
shitty
seen
movie.
the new movie, the great new movie.
I might
It's
go
gonna be
see it too.
fantastic.
I don't.
Yeah,
I gotta
we
make sure.
marathon the other.
I gotta make sure I've actually seen the last one. Those movies blur together. They're all so stupid.
4 is great. 4 is the best one. Wesker. Then at the end of 5, Wesker's the president. But we'll talk about Resident Evil next time, I'm sure, with or without me. And we will see you guys then.
So yeah.
Peace.
Open group of fire.
All right, I am done recording. Okay, here's who's writing about what. Grant, you're Uncharted 4.
Put them on the
I'll-
sheet, like the.
That's hard to edit. I'll put them in the chat.
Okay.
I have a question, though.